was a no-doubter. Fly ball right field, Jabs charging in. He makes the catch. Boomer White's going to attempt to tag. The throw to the plate in time. He got him.
The 0-1 to Matajevic, hit well to center field. Charlie Warren ranging back to left center, reaching up and making the catch, crashing into the wall. What a catch by Charlie Warren, robbing an extra base hit and keeping the no-hitter intact.
Oh my goodness, that was just a devastating breaking ball thrown by Spitzbarth there. It looks sort of like an E-fist.
3-1, hit well to right field. Walker back. This one is gone. A grand slam for Jay Jabs and 6 runs for the Gatemen here in the second.
That was an absolute moonshot. Here he is. Fastball in there, strike 3, got him looking. Bailey Clark escapes the jam.
The 3-1, hit well to left center field. Bird is back. He is not going to catch it. It's off the base of the wall. 1 run will score. Jabs is quickly behind him. He will score as well. It's a 2 RBI double for Andrew Kisner, and the Gatemen now lead 7-0. Now has a 2-2 to Bortles. He got him. Zach Houston comes in the game and strikes out the side.
Ground ball up the middle. Grand Prix spins around, throws. What a play, Preston Grand Prix.
Hi, I'm Kyle Schwarber, and you're listening to Wareham Gatemen Baseball.
From Spillane Field in beautiful Wareham, Massachusetts, it is game 29 of the Cape Cod Baseball League season as the Wareham Gatemen take on the Orleans Firebirds. I'm Eric Bramer, joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. The Gatemen coming off an off day after a very disappointing extra inning loss to the Y&D Red Sox on Sunday. In that game, no extra base hits, and that's been a problem for the Gatemen all year. Exacerbating that problem is the loss of Jarrett Ryanflesh, who is headed home after an injury. He owned 2 of the team's 7 home runs this year, so now only 5 home runs on the active roster. The team they're playing tonight, the Orleans Firebirds, have 2 different individual players who have 5 home runs this year. That poses a problem.
Yeah, and the reason we talk about the Gatemen having a lack of extra base hits this season is because they play a team tonight that has excelled in that department, and it becomes so pronounced when these 2 teams take the field. It's interesting because the Gatemen were mired in a slump early in the season. They had an extreme change in philosophies. Their head coach, Cooper Ferris, started harping on them for popping too many balls up. So what resulted was a ton of ground balls. Ground balls more likely to get through the infield, of course, but singles can really only result out of that. And when you have a bunch of singles, it takes 4 or 5 of them in a row to really get a rally going, and that's what's been costing the Gatemen right now. They haven't been able to string hits together because all of them have just been of the single variety.
The Gatemen are 0-3 against the Firebirds this year. They faced Mitchell Jordan twice, Jordan proving himself to be probably the best pitcher in the league this summer. Tonight they don't face Jordan, but they face another lefty in Eric Lauer, who's been just as good.
Yeah, Lauer's really flown under the radar this season because Mitchell Jordan has been so great. Jordan, of course, hasn't allowed an earned run in any of his starts yet, but Lauer comes in 3-0, a 1.38 ERA. The Gatemen just can't seem to catch a break against the Firebirds. They haven't scored in the past 17 innings against this team, and tonight, facing a guy who's 5th in ERA, 3rd in the league in strikeouts, it'll be tough sledding for them once again.
The Gatemen on the other side sending to the mound Zach Houston. He has a good ERA at 2.08, but he's 0-3 on the year, and he's struggled as of late. We've seen good Houston pitching almost a combined no-hitter early on in the year. We've seen bad Houston in his past couple starts. For more on Houston, we're joined by the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Megan O'Brien.
Thanks, Eric. That's right. And in Houston's last performance, we did see bad Houston, and we talked to manager Cooper Ferris about that prior to the game, and he told us that Houston was relying a lot on that breaking ball, and that's not his go-to pitch. Usually he sticks with the fastball. He told us tonight, look to see Houston using that fastball more frequently, but the Gatemen could run into trouble if he leaves it up high with this potent Orleans offense. So look to Houston, hopefully good Houston tonight, dominating that fastball and working that zone. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Megan. The Gatemen coming into the game with a record of 12-15-1. The Firebirds in first place in the Eastern Division, 20-8, and they've quickly proven themselves to be the class of the league.
Yeah, that's right. The Orleans Firebirds checking in with a 2-game winning streak, of plus 56 run differential. They're pretty much tops in every single category. You look at it, first in runs, first in RBIs, first in home runs, and then on the other side of things, first in team ERA and first in team whip. There's really not any flaws with this Orleans Firebird team. It is baseball, so it wouldn't be all surprising to see an upset, but the Gatemen are going to have to play a very solid game of baseball.
The skies are cloudy, and we might have some weather delays here tonight. We're hopeful that we won't. Most of the stuff passed to the south of us about an hour ago, but we'll keep you updated as best we can and keep the video broadcast going as long as we can. We'll be back after this short break with lineups and first pitch. You're listening to the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and watching WCTV. Just a few moments away from the national anthem here at Spillane Field, Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Mentioned before that we have some weather concerns. We're not in panic mode yet because the sky has been clear, if not opaque, for the past half hour or so, but a first pitch temperature of 76 degrees, a little bit sticky. How are you feeling right now? Are you comfortable? I know you're the first one to go to long sleeves.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty mighty comfortable right now, but whenever Orleans comes to Wareham or Wareham goes to Orleans, you want to get that ball game in just because these two teams are at polar extremes of the Cape. I mean, Wareham's not even considered to be on the Cape, so you don't want these players, broadcasters, fans from Orleans coming down to this game and then ultimately canceling it at the last second. They're going to do everything in their power to get this ball game in, and I'd be shocked if we didn't get at least 5, 6, 7 innings in.
Gatemen playing the Firebirds for the last time in the regular season. If they played them again, that would mean that they're meeting in the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship game at the end of the playoffs. Looking ahead at the schedule for the Gatemen, it's been a surprisingly clear schedule, devoid of rainouts. Only 2 different dates have been rained out, one of them a doubleheader against Brewster earlier on in the year. But coming up after this game, we travel to Chatham tomorrow for a 7 o'clock game. That'll be the last time going to Chatham. Then Chatham comes here on Friday for another 7 o'clock game. That'll be broadcast by WCTV. Looks like we are getting ready for the national anthem, so we'll send you that with our crowd microphone.
Audrey is a recent graduate of UConn and is currently working at the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole. She has been singing the national anthem for the Cape Cod League for the past 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Audrey Medeiros.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Another nice rendition of the national anthem. Looked like Gary Gateman was having a little bit too much fun during that, but
The story of Gary Gateman's life.
we'll give you the starting lineups. First for the visiting Orleans Firebirds, coming into the game at 20-8, managed by Kelly Nicholson. Leading off and playing center field, Brian Reynolds. Batting second at shortstop, Daniel Pinero. Batting third, the second baseman, Bryson Brigman. Batting cleanup, the right fielder, Kyle Lewis. Batting fifth at third base, Bobby Dahlbeck. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, Nick Zamorelli. Batting seventh and catching is Sean Murphy. Batting eighth, the first baseman, Ronnie Dawson. And rounding out the lineup, batting ninth and playing left field, is Austin Miller.
Should be noted that we had this lineup given to us at around 9 a.m. All you have to do is go on Twitter when your team is facing the Orleans Firebirds, and head coach Kelly Nicholson already has it tweeted out. It's a huge plus for us because we get to analyze the lineup for a bit more time and find trends, backstories, things to talk about. And I think the biggest things that jumps out of this lineup, Brian Reynolds from Vanderbilt, the start in center field. This team has a glut of outfielders. That means guys like Willie Abreu will be pressed for playing time.
Wade Miley, pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, throwing out the first pitch. He was with the Gatemen back in 2007, stopping by to see some old friends, and we hope to have him part of our broadcast later on in the evening. Now, Kelly Nicholson kind of gives off some Joe Madden vibes. I don't know if it's the thick-rimmed glasses or the white hair or just the general hip factor that he brings to the table, but he's impressed us in our limited interactions with him.
Yeah, he goes against the grain, and he's a big reason why his team is 20-8 on the season, 12 games above 500.
In the field for the Wareham Gatemen, left to right across the outfield is Logan Sowers in left, Charlie Warren in center, and Jay Jabs in right. Around the infield at third base, John Sternagel. At short, Mark Caraviotis. At second base, back from a wedding, is Kramer Robertson. And playing first, as always, David McKinnon. Behind the plate is Andrew Kisner, catching the 6'6" righty out of Mississippi State, Zach Houston.
Houston on the season coming into this ball game with a 2.08 ERA. He's 0-3 on the season, but you know how indicative wins and losses are in terms of success. They're not whatsoever. Houston's had a really up and down year, like we documented on the pregame show, has seen his hand at starting pitching and relief. His past two outings have both been in relief. He's thrown 1.2 innings on both occasions, one against Harwich and one against Hyannis. Has a fastball that he loves, 93, 94, 95 at times, a slider, and a curveball to complement that as well.
A bit surprised that the lights are not on right now, and you're getting a shot of it right now. Zach Houston, I think, peering up. But I'm sure those will be on in no time, especially if the skies darken anymore. Gatemen coming into the game at 12, 15, and 1. Seems like most of those losses have come recently and in heartbreaking fashion. The last game was an extra inning loss to the YD Red Sox. A pinch hit home run in the ninth inning sent the game to extras, and then a bases-loaded single ended it.
Orleans kind of coming off an opposite game. They won on a walk-off their last time out against Hyannis. The guy in the four-hole tonight, Kyle Lewis, had a walk-off base hit to end that game.
And sure enough, home plate umpire Joe Caraco asking to have the lights turned on. He's flanked at third base by Joe Peters and at first base by John Guanci. Brian Reynolds about to step into the left-handed batter's box. Reynolds, like pretty much everyone on this roster, having at least some success this year in the Cape. Coming into the game in limited action, batting .250, 5 hits in 20 at-bats. Houston from the windup delivers the first pitch, and it's fouled off left side.
And like I just mentioned, Reynolds a late arrival to this team because Vanderbilt made such a deep run into the College World Series, so now he's challenging Willie Abreu and others for playing time in a very crowded outfield. It's going to be who hits for this Orleans team because everyone seems to do so.
First pitch at 7:01 Eastern Time. First pitch temperature at 76 degrees. 0-1 missing low to even up the count. Houston's best outing was back on the 16th of June in Falmouth. He went 5 no-hit innings in what turned out to be a 1-0 loss. But it seemed like it was fastball, 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 and the Commodores' offense just couldn't catch up to it. The 1-1 in on the hands and fouled back. It's 1-2.
Yeah, Houston, a big 6'5", 235 right-hander from Mississippi State. Actually, at Mississippi State this past season, he didn't receive any starts. It's kind of surprising, too, because he has starter stuff. He can go late into games, and he has the arsenal to do that. The question is, can he put it all together and go an extended outing for the Gatemen?
Pretty good at hitting fungos, too. We've seen that on his off days.
It's something that he even likes to do on games that he's pitching, and something that Cooper Ferris has quickly gotten rid of for the right-hander.
1-2 gets a swing and a miss, and Reynolds is retired for the first out of the game. That looked like a breaking pitch, or something there. Not very soft, but a hard slider perhaps that got in on the hands.
Yeah, there's really nothing soft about the repertoire of Zach Houston. Everything is hard, 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 and that's why this matchup kind of scares me today, because it's a power-on-power matchup, and when you get a good hitting team like the Firebirds, they run into a few fastballs, and, I mean, we saw it last time they came to Spillane. What was it, 4 home runs that left this ballpark? And it could really be the same thing today if Houston can't locate his fastball.
Daniel Pinero stepping up, taking just outside ball 1. Pinero on the year, a pretty low average, 205, but like Reynolds, has not played a whole lot. 8 hits and 39 at-bats, all of them are singles.
You have the rematch of the College World Series, 2 guys on both respective teams, Virginia and Vanderbilt, atop the 2 spots of this lineup.
Strike clips the inside corner to even up the count at 1-1. Houston's only given up 9 hits all year. 5 of them came in a start against Chatham here on June 29th. He's only given up 4 earned runs, no more than 2 in any one outing. The 1-1 to Pinero, missing low.
Yeah, 21 strikeouts and 17.1 innings, so he has the stuff to miss some bats. But again, this Orleans team is just not one to miss a lot of bats.
The big righty, taking the sign from his catcher Kisner. Winding and delivering the 2-1. Missing low and in. It's 3-1 with Brigman on deck. Houston, from the windup, does that thing where he brings his arms over his head. Kind of an old school type of thing that we called attention to a couple nights ago. But interesting that Houston, who's tall already, stretches out his body even more. The 3-1. Right down the middle to make the count full.
And it's funny that you mentioned that. This is really something that I should know, but him doing that kind of looks out of the ordinary. I'm not sure if it's something that he's done on previous outings or if it's a mechanical adjustment that he's made between starts.
There's something to be said for consistency, but there's also something to be said for doing what feels good. The 3-2 misses low, and Pinero's aboard with a walk, first base runner of the game for the Firebirds.
There are pros and cons, of course, on both sides of either throwing the ball over your head like he does or not doing so. The pros being that it generates a lot more movement into your windup and allows you to get really your entire body behind things. It's also a timing mechanism. But the con of that is when that timing mechanism isn't there, can just throw all the rest of your mechanics really out of whack.
Bryson Brigman stepping up out of the University of San Diego. Batting average, top of the league at .387. First pitch gets away from Kisner, and Pinero will advance to second, take a big turnaround second, and now go to third. Caught him napping, and the throw not in time. A lethargic response from both Kisner and Houston, not aware that Pinero was taking second and then going on to third.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been a pass ball to begin with on Kisner. That ball was right to his mitt. Kind of just maybe crossed him up, hit off his glove, went all the way to the backstop, and then Pinero just really didn't hesitate off of second, tried to draw the lazy throw back to the mound, and he took third with ease.
Count 1-0 to Brigman. In on the hands and fouled off. Brigman with 8 runs batted in on the year, 1 home run and 2 doubles. Has a chance for RBI number 9 if he can get a hit to the outfield here. Or perhaps even a ground out. Gatemen infield playing back, they'll concede the run. The 1-1. High fastball check swing, the appeal down to first. John Guancy says no, he did not, and now 2-1.
Brigman comes into this game swinging a hot bat for the Firebirds. Average sitting at .387. Big reason for that, a 5-game hitting streak that extends back to June 14th. He was one of the guys on this roster along with Bobby Dahlbeck, who went over to Team USA and then decided to come back.
2-1, just missing the inside corner. 3-1 with the dangerous Kyle Lewis on deck. That's the thing that is worrisome when you don't throw strikes to this Firebirds lineup. If you put runners on, pretty much any one of these guys can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
It's also a big reason why you should be concerned when they take advantage of mistakes like they just did with the runner going from first to third. If you give a good team opportunities to succeed, chances are they're going to do what they've done all season. That's take advantage of those opportunities. Really have to play a clean game of baseball, and the Gatemen not starting off well here tonight.
3-1 slashed foul, and now the count runs full. Panero on third, reached on a walk, advanced on a passed ball. 3-2 to Brigman, hit on the ground to second. Robertson has it, throws on to first, in time to get Brigman, but Panero comes home for the game's first run, 1-0 Orleans here in the first.
Really just a professional at-bat there from Bryson Brigman. He's not new to professional at-bats at all. Coming from the University of San Diego, was the freshman newcomer of the year in that conference of baseball, and there has 2 strikes on him. All he has to do, put a ball in play on the ground. He does just that to the right side. It's a testament to Orleans' success and also a testament to the coaching that they have players who can fit their roles and do what it needs to take, to get the first run of this ball game. Now they're out to an early 1-0 lead.
The circumstances to get here not ideal, but good for Houston that he's facing Lewis with the bases empty. Batting .333 on the year, 5 home runs, 5 doubles, and a triple. 16 runs batted in, leads the team. And he's ahead in the count now, 2-0.
Hitting .333 on the year, which is third in all of the Cape League. Leads his team in RBIs. Had his 20th birthday yesterday, so maybe we'll see the good times of yesterday, the off day, rolling into today.
Houston's 2-0 to Lewis, misses low and away, now 3-0 with Bobby Dahlbeck on deck. This 4-5 combination for the Firebirds, Lewis and Dahlbeck combined, have 10 home runs.
That's more than the Gatemen have as an entire team, to put that in perspective.
3-0 clips the lower edge of the zone to move it to 3-1. Lewis spits on it, and he'll step back in to take his cuts. Houston takes the sign, winds, and delivers the 3-1, fouled off. And now the count runs full. Houston throwing a lot of pitches here in the first inning. And much of it is his own fault, getting behind in the count to a couple of the batters here. Walked Panero. Got a 3-ball count to Brigman, and now a full count to Lewis. Payoff pitch, rolled on the ground. Nice diving stop by Robertson to throw it on to first, high. But McKinnon kept his foot on the bag. A nice play to end the inning. Kramer Robertson with a diving stop up the middle, and the throw on to first for out number 3. The Firebirds do score 1, and we head to the bottom of the first. Orleans 1-0 over Wareham. You're listening to the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and watching WCTV. 1-0 Firebirds over the Wareham Gatemen as we head to the bottom of the first inning. Eric Bramer, joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien, will give you the lineups for the Gatemen, presented by Cooper Ferris. Leading off in the designated hitter tonight, Andrew Kalika. Batting second and playing second, Kramer Robertson made a nice play to end the top half of the first inning. Batting third and playing shortstop, Mark Caraviotis. Batting cleanup, the first baseman, David McKinnon. Batting fifth and catching, Andrew Kisner. Batting sixth in center field, Charlie Warren. Batting seventh in left field, Logan Sowers. Batting eighth in right field, Jay Jabs. And batting ninth and playing third base, John Sternagel.
You mentioned Robertson making his return to the Gatemen lineup today after receiving a few off days consecutively because he was at a wedding. Let's not forget that in all 13 of his starts this season, he's been on base. So he spots back at the top portion of the lineup, but Cooper Ferris today opting to put him in the 2-hole and to lead off the guy right now in Kalika.
They'll face a lefty in Eric Lauer, who we talked at length about in the pregame. He's a guy who, like Mitchell Jordan, is left-handed, throws in the low 90s, and he has great secondary stuff. First pitch to Kalika is fouled straight back. Kalika, a left-handed hitter, has been just about as good as it gets so far. We're past the point where it could be a fluke. Now been with the team for a few weeks, batting .469, 23 hits in 49 plate appearances.
We're also to the point of the season where he's really close to averaging the 2.7 plate appearances per games that the team plays that he needs in order to be among the leaders in the batting average department. At .469 right now, if he maintains something close to that, he'll be by far and away the top hitter in the Cape.
1-2, missing low and away. Also of note, Kalika has been in the leadoff spot for most of the past couple weeks. He leads the team now with 11 runs batted in. That's how good he's been. Hangs alive, and now still 2-2. In the field, the Firebirds, left to right across the outfield, Miller, Reynolds, Lewis. Third base, Dahlbeck. Second base, Brigman. Shortstop, Pinero. And first base, Dawson, as Kalika takes a strike 3 on the outside corner. He's retired for out number 1. He was 2 for 4 in Sunday's game, but he did strike out twice and once looking. So he's gone for out number 1 on the bottom of the first. That'll bring up Kramer Robertson. Sean Murphy behind the plate is catching the lefty Lauer. Robertson stepping in, still wearing those white spikes, a little less white than they were a couple weeks ago when he first debuted them. Swings through the first pitch offering. It's 0-1. Taking inside to even up the count. Robertson batting a very solid .319 on the year. 15 hits in 47 at-bats. All of them are singles, though. 1-1, missing low. It's 2-1. We talked to him before he left about his approach at the plate, and he said that he didn't really feel all that comfortable early on in the year, but now seeing fastballs better. 2-1, fouled off, and out of play right side. And that's an adjustment that we've seen a lot of hitters make. Struggling in the first couple games and coming back later, but Robertson, from the get-go, was at least getting on base. Even when he wasn't hitting the ball hard, he's beating out infield singles as he flips the 2-2 out of play right side. Lauer with the 2-2. Just got a piece, did Robertson, to keep the at-bat alive. Lauer in the Cape League season has been very good. 3-0, 1.39 ERA, only 10 hits allowed in 26 innings pitched, and 30 strikeouts in that span. 2-2 again, just fending off an inside pitch. Robertson hanging tough.
And his last outing of the Cape season against Katuitt, right before he toes the rubber against the Gatemen tonight, was probably his best start of the season. 6 innings pitched, only allowed 1 hit, and struck out a total of 8 batters.
Gets Robertson to chase a high fastball, and he struck out the first 2 batters in the bottom of the first inning. That'll leave it to Mark Karaviotis. When we asked the Firebirds announcers, who you know pretty well, about the scouting report on Lauer, they described him as a crafty lefty. I guess compared to Mitchell Jordan, he is a crafty lefty, but a lefty who can throw in the low 90s is pretty desirable by most teams, and sure enough, plenty of scouts here tonight as Karaviotis swings through the first pitch offering.
I guess their standards of crafty lefties are different than ours, because Matt Crook throws in the low 90s from the left side, and I wouldn't consider him a crafty lefty.
Not at all. Lauer quickly ahead of Karaviotis, 0-2. From the windup, delivers, and got him. Lauer with a neat and tidy bottom of the first inning, striking out all 3 batters he faces. We head to the top of the second, 1-0, Firebirds over the Gatemen. You're watching WCTV on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. One nothing Firebirds over the Gatemen as we head to the top of the second inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. It'll be 5, 6, and 7 for the Firebirds due up against Zach Houston, who did not allow a hit in the first inning, but he did allow a run. A one-out walk to Daniel Pinero, advanced to second on a pass ball, and then Pinero with a heads-up play. Noticed that Andrew Kisner was slow in getting the ball back to the pitcher, took third, and then scored on an RBI groundout off the bat of Bryson Brigman.
And now we get to see and be treated to what all these scouts are here for. Bobby Dahlbeck, the 5-hitter of this Orleans Firebirds lineup, comes in with an immense amount of pop, 5 home runs on the season. And mind you, he took an extended break to go with Team USA, comes back, hits a home run in his 3rd game of action. He's 3 for 12 since his return. and two of his 5 home runs this season have come against the Gatemen.
I don't know what you're talking about. We've already seen plenty of Dahlbeck. 293 batting average out of the University of Arizona. Takes off the inside corner, ball 1. You want to see more of this guy?
I do. He just has an immense amount of power, and it could be at the expense of the Gatemen, but watching him hit is just a thing to really watch. I love watching the immense power that he possesses.
Big cut and a miss on a high fastball to even up the count at 1-1. Something tells me that he'll be back in a couple weeks for the Cape Cod Baseball League All-Star Game being played here at Spillane Field, and he might be participating in the Home Run Derby as well. A larger than usual crowd in the left field football bleachers, perhaps coincidentally, but might want a Dahlbeck home run ball here tonight. The 1-1 from Houston. Another big swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Like most power hitters, Dahlbeck does strike out a fair bit. 18 strikeouts in 41 at-bats. The 1-2 got him. High fastball, and Houston challenged him and got the strikeout for out number 1. That'll bring up Nick Zamorelli. Zamorelli has 13 runs batted in out of the 6th spot, batting .270 on the year, 20 hits in 74 at-bats. And he, like so many other guys, has some pop too. 2 home runs and 5 doubles.
He, like Dahlbeck, though, strikes out quite a bit. 27 strikeouts, and he's taken only 3 walks.
First pitch swinging, chopped foul down the first base line.
Really hasn't hurt him, though, especially lately. In his past 8 games, 11 for 29, culminating in a .379 batting average over those past 8 contests.
We have not seen as much of Houston's secondary pitches. And though he did give up a run in the first, he is yet to allow a hit. The 0-1, chopped on the ground right side. Robertson has it, an easier play for him now, and he throws on to first for out number 2. We talked about that in the open. Houston, who was so good early on in the year, went 5 no-hit innings against Falmouth. Had some struggles in his last couple starts, and now being seen more out of the bullpen than in the starting rotation. But do you really think it is due to his reliance on secondary pitches, or is that something he's going to have to overcome if he wants to have success at the next level?
Well, they're going to be road bumps, and when he doesn't throw a lot of secondary pitches, he's probably going to be more successful. But sometimes you have to think bigger picture here. It's not all about the statistics and your performance in this Cape League. You're here to get better. Yes, you want to get noticed, but first and foremost, you want to get better. And for him to succeed at the next level, he's going to have to throw something other than a fastball. So, yeah, they're going to be growing pains, and we've seen them a bit. But if he can harness his potential and start offering more secondary pitches, I think he will really succeed.
A strike, then a ball to the catcher, Sean Murphy, coming into the game, batting .206. In on the fist, off the glove of Houston. Tough play for Karaviotis, and he'll barehand it and eat it. Infield single for Sean Murphy. He's aboard with 2 down here in the second. It's always a tough play for the pitcher because you're on the mound and you don't know when or where that last hop's going to come up. Something that I'm sure Houston will tell us he'd like to have had, but a very difficult play, much more difficult than it looks from up here. With Murphy at first and 2 down, that'll bring up Ronnie Dawson, the first baseman. Dawson on the year out of Ohio State, batting .257, 3 home runs and 1 double. First pitch misses high, ball 1. Firebirds have a 7-hitter with multiple home runs, and the Gatemen have 1-hitter period on their active roster with multiple home runs. It tells you the difference between these two teams and might help to explain the difference in records as well. The 1-0 to Dawson, big swing and a miss, foul tip into the glove of Kisner. It's 1-1.
Dawson's also a complete hitter, too. He's an 8-hitter in this lineup who's hitting .343 over his past 35 at-bats. Just like his teammate Zamorelli that we mentioned, the two of those providing ample support for the bottom portion of this lineup.
The 1-1 fouled back towards us, and it's 1-2. That hit off the bat of Murphy was the first hit allowed by either side tonight. Houston trying to strand him on first and retire Dawson, the 1-2. Missing low in the dirt. Kisner blocks it. It's now 2-2. Houston kicks his cleats, cleaning them out. Now comes to a set, checking the runner Murphy at first. And delivering the 2-2 to Dawson. Just missing the inside corner. That one looked like it had some lateral movement as well. Might have been that slider. With the count full and Murphy off on motion, first baseman David McKinnon says that he'll play back. Houston's payoff pitch to Dawson, missing low, ball 4. Walk number 2 in 2 innings for Houston, and now runners at first and second for the 9-hitter Austin Miller.
It looked like both on the pitch before and on the payoff pitch that Houston came in with something other than his fastball, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Showing that he has confidence in those types of pitches, in those counts, is a good thing for him. Yes, the results may not be there quite yet, but it's something that he's working on to overcome, and I think that's a positive sign.
Austin Miller, the left fielder tonight out of Loyola Marymount, batting .219 on the year, 16 hits and 73 at-bats. Takes low, ball 1.
Miller in the lineup today. Yes, one for his last 24, but watching the batting practice of the Firebirds, he really put on a display. Their batting coach, or hitting coach rather, stands behind their screen and shouts out commands to them. 3-2 count. Now hit and run. Now a runner on second base with nobody out. And these hitters have to respond to it and choose where to hit the ball. Miller was by far the most successful in that pursuit, spraying the ball over to all sorts of the field. And then his last one, he uncorked one that came up just shy of the scoreboard but still cleared the fence and right.
After the 2-0, Kisner hand delivers the ball back to his righty. The runner at second, Murphy. The runner at first, Ronnie Dawson. Houston trying to escape the jam. The 2-0 fouled back and out of play. Houston peers in for the sign. Kisner probably going on a multiple sign system with the runner Murphy at second. The 2-1 from Houston on the outside corner, 2-2, and Miller expresses his disapproval to home plate umpire Joe Caraco. We will see what Houston gives Miller with the count 2-2. Does he go with the fastball or with a breaking pitch? Looks like a fastball. It's up in the zone and it's fouled straight back. Houston paws at the dirt, now toes the rubber and takes the sign from Kisner. Caraviotis keeping Murphy honest and now darting back to the bag. Houston doesn't throw, and that'll force him to step off. Firebirds with a walk and a hit this inning. No balls have left the outfield, but they're one hit away from scoring another run. In on the fists and sent foul left side.
Houston has gone fastball on a 2-2 count, and on both occasions, Miller's been able to foul it off. So now that he's gearing up for that high heat and the heat that goes mid-90s, it would be wise of Houston to come in now with the slider around the shoe tops. He does have a ball to work with, and if he has faith in his catcher Kisner to be able to keep the runner on second, I think that's what he'll come with.
The 2-2 from Houston. Hit on the ground, right side on a hop to McKinnon. He takes it himself, and that'll do it for the Firebirds in their half of the second inning. They get one hit and one walk, but do not score We head to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Firebirds over the Gatemen. You're listening to the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and watching WCTV. One nothing Firebirds over the Gatemen as we head to the bottom of the second inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. 4, 5, and 6 due up for the Gatemen, facing Eric Lauer, David McKinnon, Andrew Kisner, and Charlie Warren. Gatemen have yet to put a ball in play against Lauer, who struck out the side in the first inning. This Gatemen team has struggled to score runs against the Firebirds. You have to go back to their first game of the year against the Firebirds, game 1 of the doubleheader on the first Sunday of the year, to find an inning in which the Gatemen plated a run. Since then, they've gone 7 innings in game 2 of that doubleheader, and then 9 innings just about a week ago in that third game against the Firebirds.
And on both of those last 2 occasions, they had to face Mitchell Jordan. So when you see a guy other than Jordan, it's a great sign for the Gatemen. But Eric Lauer has just really been just as excellent this year. He's permitted a few more runs, but other than that, the numbers are very similar.
Misses high and away, ball 1 to McKinnon. Pitch number 2 finds the zone to even up the count. McKinnon's been about a constant in this Gatemen lineup, batting .282 on the year, 24 hits, only 1 extra base hit. That was a home run. He wraps the 1-1 on the ground to third. Dahlbeck with a long throw across the diamond in time for out number 1.
McKinnon was in the 6 hole of the Gatemen's last game, and he was in a bit of a rut going into that game, but had a 2 RBI single that accounted for both of the Gatemen's runs. So here today, Cooper Ferris decides, well, I think he's broken out of his slump enough, or at least to move back up 2 spots into the cleanup position.
Now Andrew Kisner catching tonight. We've seen him play third, we've seen him play first, but behind the plate tonight out of North Carolina State, the average a bit low at .222 as he fouls a high fastball back to the screen 0-1. But that is largely due to a slump that he was in, an 0 for 19 slump that was snapped a couple nights ago when he got the game-winning single. Ball 1 misses outside to even up the count. 4 extra base hits, they're all doubles, and 8 runs batted in. The encouraging thing is that he's walked 11 times to lead the team and only 12 strikeouts. Third pitch of the at-bat just misses the outside corner. It's 2-1. Lauer from the windup delivers the 2-1 to Kisner. Hit in the air center field. Reynolds barely has to move as he stares into the opaque sky and squeezes it. Out number 2 here in the bottom of the second. Now Charlie Warren. When I talked to Warren before the game today, I asked him how he was against left-handed pitching, and he said, "Oh, I'm all right." So not something that he thinks about. Maybe he should think about it, I don't know. We'll see how this at-bat goes. He takes strike 1 on the outside corner.
Well, he hasn't been any worse for the wear for the Gatemen against lefties this season. Don't have splits on him, but I can tell you he comes into this game riding a 6-game hitting streak, and he's hitting over 500 in that hitting streak, 10 for his last 19.
.318 on the year, 21 hits, only 1 of them for extra bases. It was a double. We've seen a lot of his hits go the opposite way and not necessarily hit hard, just doinked down the left field line. This one chopped back to the mound. Lauer nonchalantly catches it and throws on to first. Another 1-2-3 inning for Eric Lauer. We're through 2. 1-0 Orleans over Wareham on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. One nothing Firebirds over the Gatemen as we head to the top of the third inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Firebirds have completed their first trip through the order. Now will be the top of the order taking their second chances against the righty Zach Houston. Firebirds have 1 run on 1 hit, although they came in different innings. In the first inning, a 1-out walk by Daniel Pinero came around to score on an RBI groundout. Then back in the second, they got 2 runners on thanks to an infield single and a walk. But then Houston stranded them both. The Firebirds have yet to hit a ball out of the infield. which I guess is encouraging in this power-hungry team. It'll be Reynolds, Pinero, and Brigman here in the third. Houston slaps the rosin bag down on the back of the mound and now toes the rubber to face Reynolds. Reynolds struck out swinging his first time up. Houston winds and delivers the first pitch, missing low and away, ball one.
We've talked at length about the Gatemen having a few players coming into the Cape League and struggling in their first few games and then finding their stroke as they got more games under their belt. I think Brian Reynolds exactly exemplifies that case. He's only 5 for 21, but coming from such a high prestigious school in Vanderbilt and playing deep into the College World Series, I think it's safe to say that he just needs a few more at-bats and then he'll get things really going around.
He takes a strike to even up the count. Sternagel at third, playing about even with the bag. Reynolds apparently not too much of a threat to bunt. The 1-1, hit in the air, left center field. Warren ranging to his right, calls off the left fielder Sowers and squeezes it for out number one. Warren playing center field for the second consecutive game, although he did not start Sunday's game at YD in center. He started in the corner and then moved to center when Kalika was taken out of the game. Warren factored into the last play of the game, a single, a low liner to shallow center field that it looked like Warren got a bad read on. Cooper Ferris after the game said he wasn't too sure what happened, but it's always the toughest play when it's hit right at you in center field. First pitch strike to Daniel Pinero.
And your first step should always be back, but it just becomes a little bit more magnified in a situation like that, in which all you need is a single to win the ball game. His first step was back, and then his reflexes from there just a little slow.
Hit to right center field, and Jabs has it in right. Out number two. Warren actually did make a diving attempt at it, and I think he might have had the length, but from our angle it looked like the fall jarred the ball loose. Ferris denied that he suspected the setting sun impacting that, although at YD there are no lights, and that was the first thing my mind jumped to. Brigman at the plate, he had an RBI ground out to score Pinero back in the first inning, taking inside ball one. The 1-0 from Houston, missing low, 2-0.
I think to close the book on that final play, it would be unjust to Charlie Warren to say his misread on that ball cost the Gatemen the game. They had ample opportunities to score. Ryan Olson coughed up a home run to even tie that game going into extra innings. So while on the scoreboard and in the box score it's going to look like, wow, if this one play would have gone a different direction, then they wouldn't have lost. Well, it's a bigger story than that. The Gatemen definitely had other chances not to make that play so critical.
Brigman ahead in the count 3-0, now taking a strike down the middle.
Is that a slider that Houston threw on 3-0?
I'm not sure. I think it was just a fastball that he took a little bit off of. Brigman, a pretty established and polished hitter, almost certainly taking on 3-0. The 3-1 missing inside, and doesn't matter. Brigman takes first base with a 2-out walk. Now Kyle Lewis. He was robbed of a base hit back in the first inning. Kramer Robertson made a diving play to his right, going up the middle, then threw on to first to get Lewis by about a half a step. Houston's walked 3 in 2 2/3 innings, 1 in each inning. First pitch swinging and missing at a high fastball. It's 0-1.
Lewis comes into this ball game, like we mentioned, third in the Cape in batting average, and he's been even better away from Eldridge Park. On the road this season, hitting .368. He has a lot of movement in his stance, and even as he commences his swing, so it's surprising he can sustain such a high average, but obviously very good hand-eye coordination skills even with the movement.
0-1 to Lewis, hit in the air left field, down the line, into foul territory. Sowers, and he makes the play out of our view and out of the camera's view, but we'll take the umpire's word for it. So Houston walks gingerly around a two-out walk, and gets out of the third without allowing a run. Still 1-0 Orleans as we head to the bottom of the third on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and WCTV. Back at Spillane Field, 1-0. Gatemen trail the Firebirds as we head to the bottom of the third inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and now Megan O'Brien, who has a very special guest out in left field.
Thanks, Eric. That's right. Very special guest. He threw out the first pitch for the Wareham Gatemen tonight, and not only that, but 2007 alum and player for the Boston Red Sox, a pitcher, Wade Miley. And, you know, we were talking as you walked up here, and you're actually the only former Gateman that follows us back on Twitter, and we really do appreciate that. And thank you so much for coming. And, Wade, what was your most memorable experience here playing for the Gatemen?
Just the experience in general. Very, very fortunate to get the opportunity to come here and play in this league. It's such a premier league, and really enjoyed every minute of it. You know, it was probably one of the better summers I ever had in my life, and some of the guys I met still friends with to this day, and it was just a great experience.
Now, what did you learn here that you were able to take and use as you progressed through your career in the minors and in the majors?
I just think you learn about. You're working, you're away from home. That was a big thing for me. It was really the first time I'd left home, and just learn how to be a good teammate. Learn how to learn about guys from other cultures, other cities, and other areas, and it was fun. It was just, like I said, it was an unbelievable experience, and it was great.
Now, what kind of advice would you give to a player in the Wareham Gatemen uniform that you used to wear, coming from where you're at right now?
Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the grind and enjoy the people you meet and the memories you get to make. I think that's the biggest thing, is the memories you make in this game in general, especially coming to this league. It's just a premier league, and you make a lot of memories.
Well, this is a memory that I'll keep with me forever. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Wade Miley, pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, and also former Wareham Gateman. Back to you.
And thank you, Wade. Logan Sowers at the plate with a 1-2 count. Miley was with the Gatemen 8 years ago and was an all-star a couple years ago with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Has furnished for himself a pretty good major league career, as will almost certainly some of the guys on the diamond right now. 2-2 to Sowers, sent foul right side.
Miley's one of those guys who I really enjoyed watching. I wasn't at Arizona State when he was a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks. In fact, he was traded, I believe, to the Red Sox right as I was getting to Arizona State. And as Sowers goes down swinging on strikes, strikeout number 4 for Eric Lauer. Miley's always been a guy in which the sabermetric community has viewed in a higher light than the normal fan would. He comes in, I'm not sure what his career ERA is, but these past few seasons he's been in the 4s, kind of like a Brandon McCarthy type. He strikes out really a lot of batters. His FIP is lower than his ERA, which means he's actually kind of been unlucky over these past few seasons. But again, for the purposes of this broadcast, always very cool when you get a major leaguer, and especially a former Gateman on.
Jay Jabs thinks about bunting, then instead takes outside ball 1. Jabs got off to a very hot start this year, but has cooled off considerably, the average down to 193. But with Rindfleisch gone, he's the only remaining member of the active roster who has more than 1 home run to his name in the season. He has 2. Ahead in the count, 2-0, and he sends the fastball foul and out of play left field line. Lauer's yet to give up a hit. He's faced now 7.5 batters as the 2-1 misses low in the dirt, blocked by Murphy. It's 3-1 with the 9-hitter John Sternagel on deck. Lauer from the windup with a 3-1 to Jabs, fouled straight back to the screen, and the count runs full. The 3-2 from Lauer. Jab sends it foul and out of play, left field line. Gatemen only down 1 run. But if recent trends are to be believed, they'll have to string together at least a couple hits to get that run back. The payoff pitch from Lauer. Outside ball 4, and Jabs is aboard with 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd. That'll bring up John Sternagel. Sternagel's average at 171 in limited action, 6 hits and 35 at-bats. But he's put together competitive at-bats, or at least that's been my perception.
Yeah, it's kind of big there that Jay Jabs drew the walk, now getting to Sternagel, and unless Sternagel grounds into a double play here, it'll assure them that the Gatemen flip over to the top portion of this lineup here in the 3rd inning. It's a bottom portion of the order that right now is really struggling. All 3 guys hitting below 200 on the season.
Jabs goes first pitch, the throw down to second. In time, he got him. Coming into the game with 8 stolen bases, but thrown out here. And the base runner, the first base runner of the game for the Gatemen, is quickly erased. That's been another issue for Wareham. They've made too many outs on the base paths, and it cost them here. Now 2 outs in the 3rd. 1-0 is sent foul and out of play.
Now I guess I spoke too soon, talking about the Gatemen getting to the top portion of this order here in the 3rd. If Sternagel makes an out here, the out on the base paths is all for naught.
Dumped down the first base line, but twisting foul. Still 1-2. You can see, or at least you could, from a previous angle, the bonfire in the Gatemen dugout. Larger than usual this evening. I count 1-2. Lauer winds and delivers to Sternagel. A half swing. The appeal down to first. He did not go. All the Firebirds took a couple steps in towards the dugout, but the inning's still alive, and Sternagel trying to extend it even more. Lauer with the 2-2 to Sternagel. High fastball, got him. Gatemen get their first base runner with a walk, but he's quickly erased. 3 no-hit innings for Eric Lauer, and we head to the top of the 4th. Still 1-0 Orleans on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and WCTV. 1-0 Firebirds over the Gatemen as we head to the top of the 4th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. 5, 6, and 7 due up for the Firebirds against Zach Houston, who's only allowed 1 hit, but he's also allowed an unearned run back in the 1st. And with this anemic Gatemen offense, every run seems even more insurmountable. It's a defeatist attitude, but we've seen the Gatemen in the past couple games struggle to score runs when they need to put it bluntly.
Yeah, don't forget that they're also 0-4 on Thursdays.
Tuesdays.
Yes. Had to squeeze that in there, though. And the Orleans broadcasters knew that, and I sent them our game notes before the game, and that's the thing they took away from it. So I'm not alone in thinking that that's I guess not a telling stat, but it's one that should be mentioned.
In on the hands, shallow center, Warren charging, and it hits off his glove. Dahlbeck rounding first on his way to second. He'll be into second on what should be ruled an error by the center fielder, Charlie Warren. It is indeed an error. And Zach Houston, with some more bad luck behind him. He gave up an unearned run in the 1st inning on a passed ball. And now Dahlbeck at second on what should have been the 1st out.
Warren was coming in at full speed, so you understand why he misplayed it. It was hardly a routine catch, but he got to the baseball. And like you say so many times, if you were to ask him about that play, he would say, yes, that ball needs to be caught.
Missing low, ball 1 to Nick Zamorelli. Zamorelli, his first time up, grounded out to second base, and while he's looking for a hit, he'd probably take another second base ground out or something to the right side to, at the very least, advance Dahlbeck to 3rd. This one hit to left field, and it's down for a hit. In front of Sowers, a high hop goes right to the glove, And Sowers gets it back in quickly. Runners at the corners with nobody out. That'll bring up Sean Murphy. Before this inning, he had the only hit of the game for either side, a single off the glove of Zach Houston and trickling into the left side of the infield. He was stranded at second in the second. Zamorelli at first, Dahlbeck at third. Nobody out here for the Firebirds in the top of the fourth. Kisner behind the plate, stepping out to give his infield the first and third play, should Zamorelli take off for second base. You saw that work twice in the same game, but not something that players at this level typically fall for. There's a fake move from Houston, who doesn't even throw the ball.
And with a potent offense like Orleans, I'd be very surprised to see if they tried any trickery on the base paths. A guy in Sean Murphy who's already singled once today, and especially with no outs, I don't think his head coach is going to take the bat out of his hands.
Chance of "Let's Go Gary." So the audience attention has been diverted to the Gatemen mascot, at least temporarily. First pitch from Houston, missing outside, ball one. The runner at third, Dahlbeck, reached on a two-base error by the center fielder Charlie Warren to lead off this inning. Zamorelli lined a single to left field just a moment ago. The 1-0 from Houston to Murphy on the outside corner to even up the count. There is an arm warming in the Gatemen bullpen. Can't see who it is. That semi-translucent green screen engulfing the outfield fence prevents us from identifying numbers, but we can see moving masses in white uniforms back there. The 1-1 sent foul and out of play right side, and it's 1-2. Infielders playing at double play depth. They will concede the run in order to try for a double play. Plan A for Houston would be to get a strikeout of Murphy, and then the inning-ending double play. Houston ponders his plan of attack, and looked like Murphy had had enough. He calls time and steps out. Murphy in the box, awaiting the 1-2 from Houston. The windup and the delivery, missing low and away, 2-2. This game has slowed down considerably when Houston has runners on base. Not necessarily a bad thing strategically, but definitely noticeable. 2-2 from Houston to Murphy. Missing outside, count runs full. Dawson on deck, and we'll see if Zamorelli takes off early from first. Houston has already walked 3 batters. Once in the first, once in the second, and once in the third. Trying to avoid number 4 here, it would load the bases. Houston checks Zamorelli at first, Dahlbeck at third, comes to a set, and delivers the payoff pitch to Murphy. Hit in the air, right side, behind first base. McKinnon, the first baseman, has it, calls off everyone else, and squeezes it out number 1. A good pitch from Houston and a good result. He gets an out without allowing the run. Dahlbeck scoring from third.
Yeah, that's a big out there for Zach Houston. Came in with a slider, I believe, on a 3-2 count. Had the courage to throw a pitch that is not his plus pitch, his fastball being the plus pitch, and they got Murphy out on front, popped it up over to McKinnon, an infield fly which keeps Dahlbeck put over on third base. And the Gatemen now either a double play away from ending the inning, or hopefully for them another pop-up induced by Houston to keep Dahlbeck on third.
Now Ronnie Dawson, who walked back in the second inning. The runner at third, Dahlbeck. The runner at first, Zamorelli. One down in the top of the fourth as Houston checks Zamorelli back at first base. Houston peers in for the sign, comes to a set, and delivers to Dawson. Fouled straight back. You were ready for it.
I wasn't in my extreme general vicinity. I would have had to have showcased an immense amount of range there had there not been a screen in front of me. Didn't bring my glove to the game either.
No real reason to. Although on Thursday, there will be a reason to. We'll be hopefully participating in the employees softball game.
Now that'll be fun. Cannot wait for that.
The 0-1 from Houston, missing outside. Now 1-1. Houston has gone to that rosin bag several times in the outing. You wonder in this sticky air if he's having trouble gripping the baseball. Houston checks Zamorelli at first, comes to a set, and delivers the 1-1 to Dawson. Hit in the air. Behind home plate, Kisner going back for a look, tosses away the mask, now dives back, and he makes the catch. The throw down to second is faked. Dahlbeck on third doesn't bite, but a nice play by Kisner, who overran it going back, but then recovered to make a nice play for out number 2.
That's so incredibly difficult for Kisner to make that play. First of all, he has to locate the fence, all while looking straight up, a very trying task for him, but he locates the fence, then starts backpedaling, knowing that it's going to be over his head, and has the presence of mind to continue to contain his composure and backpedal and make the diving catch. Really nothing hurt by Zamorelli taking second there. Yes, 2 runners in scoring position, but another big infield pop-out for Houston on the mound.
Credit where credit is due, though. Zamorelli, probably the first time he's ever advanced to second on a pop-up behind home plate. Very heads-up play that removes the force play. Now the 9-hitter Austin Miller, grounded out to first, back in the second. Takes a strike on the outside corner. Miller, once again, disagrees with the call. So Dahlbeck on third, Zamorelli on second. Any runs that score from here on out will be unearned because of the error that allowed Dahlbeck to reach to lead off the inning. The 0-1 squaring to bunt, pulling away and taking strike 2. Interesting choice by Miller, maybe a safety squeeze on because Dahlbeck did not break for the plate. And then even more interesting, pulling away and taking a strike low in the zone, almost an ideal bunting pitch. And now in the hole, 0-2.
With 2 outs, Miller was probably trying to bunt for a base hit there, both the corner infielders playing deep and not really anticipating bunt.
The 0-2 to Miller, missing outside, and it gets away from Kisner. Off the glove, and the run will score. Dahlbeck scores, Zamorelli to third, and the Firebirds take a 2-0 lead. Another unforced error by the Gatemen. The second unearned run allowed by Houston, and now a 2-0 deficit. Count now 1-2 to Miller. Now only 1 RBI out there for him. Swung on and missed. So Houston gets out of the inning, but 1 run does score. It's unearned. We head to the bottom of the 4th inning. 2-0 now, Orleans over Wareham on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Firebirds leading the Gatemen 2-0 as we head to the bottom of the fourth inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Eric Lauer is yet to allow a hit. He's now faced everyone in the Gatemen order. He'll face 1, 2, and 3 as Kalika, Robertson, and Karaviotis get a second look at the lefty.
Not where you want to be at this position in the ball game if you're the Wareham Gatemen. You haven't had a hit against Lauer. You've only had one base runner, and that base runner immediately caught stealing. Against a guy who has an ERA sub-2, you're down by 2, and your starter really hasn't done a whole lot wrong. He's walked a few guys, but hasn't allowed a lot of hard contact. His pitch count is getting up there, so he's going to need to be relieved here in these next few innings, and coming from behind with a deficit, always extremely tough to do, especially against a guy with the finesse and the greatness of Lauer.
Ball 1 is low in the dirt to Andrew Kalika. Kalika struck out looking to lead off the bottom of the first inning. So the average going down a little bit from 469. I don't think he'll lie awake at night thinking about it. The 1-0, hit in the air, left field line, twisting towards the line and dropping foul.
Kalika has a very impressive streak coming into this game. Not only does he have a 5-game hitting streak, but he has a 5-game hitting streak with 2 hits in each of those games. Talking with a lot of the other broadcasters around the league, they say, oh yeah, I checked the Gateman box score tonight, and when you look at that, Kalika has 2 more hits. He's been a machine atop this Gateman order, and against a tough matchup in Lauer, he'll be looking to get his first hit and supply the first hit of the game for the Gatemen.
Yeah, the Gatemen will just settle for 1 right now. The 1-1-2 Kalika on the outside corner, a late strike call, but it's call nonetheless. It's 1-2. 5 strikeouts through 3 innings for Eric Lauer. Nothing even close to a base hit. The 1-2 fair down the line past the glove of Dawson. A big turnaround first, but Kalika's content with a leadoff single, the first hit of the game for the Gatemen. Early to call that a no-hit bid, but you don't want to see the first hit of the game on something questionable like that. Dawson could have made that play, but he doesn't, and it's a base hit.
Yeah, I think it was hit hard enough there from Kalika to officially rule that one a base hit. Really not a surprise that Kalika is the first one to draw blood against Lauer. Both these guys coming in with very impressive seasons. Lauer got the better of Kalika in his first at-bat, but there Kalika now with a 1-for-2 day getting the better of Lauer in his second at-bat.
Digging in with an aggressive lead. Robertson, who struck out, and now the throw back to first. Kalika's back.
We talked about this a lot on last broadcast. I think Kalika has determined the perfect lead, both to get the pitcher's attention, but both where he can also scamper back to the bag safely. It's a lead where also gives him a stolen base threat.
Again close, but again Kalika back. Paying extra close attention to him is Lauer. And me as well. Now I can see why he was digging in that first time he led off. He knows exactly where he wants it, placing that right foot in the exact same little divot every single time. Ball 1 misses high to Robertson, who struck out swinging his first time up. Lauer keeping a close eye on Kalika. The 1-0 to Robertson, missing high, now 2-0. And Murphy out to have a chat with Lauer, who's pitching out of the stretch for just a second time tonight. And the first time, after one pitch, he was back in the windup. Karaviotis on deck and McKinnon in the hole, should the Gatemen put together a rally here. Again, checking Kalika, and the 2-0 to Robertson, a high strike. It's 2-1. Third baseman Dahlbeck playing a little further back than I would expect, but still even with the bag. 2-1, a low strike on the inside corner. It's now 2-2. Lauer checks Kalika back at first. Again, he's safe with a dive. Lauer's 2-2 to Robertson. High fastball, half swing, got him. That's what happens when you're pressing at the plate. Robertson retired for out number 1. Kalika unable to advance to second.
It also happens when you're facing a guy like Lauer who's so consistently in the strike zone. You start gearing up for a 2-2 pitch, expecting that pitch to be in the strike zone, anything out of it, and it's out of the ordinary. So Robertson was probably thinking swing, 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 which, yes, is the mentality that you want to have, but at the last second, unable to hold back.
Karaviotis takes a strike underneath the elbows. It's 0-1.
Of course, that mentality better than the alternative of take, then swing, because you're not going to have any success doing that. But in a 2-2 count and at a fastball high in the zone, it's not what you're normally anticipating from a guy like Lauer who's always inside the zone. Robertson unable to hold up.
Different move from Lauer, who stepped off with his left foot, then threw over in a sidearm motion. 0-1 to Karaviotis. Went fishing and a low pitch, foul tipped into the glove. It's quickly 0-2.
Surprised at all that Cooper Ferris didn't have Robertson lay down a bunt there with no outs?
It's tough because Robertson was so adept at getting on base with singles. Perhaps a little bit surprised, but not disappointed. Kalika goes and the pitch chopped up the middle. It's going to be a tough play for the shortstop. Pinero throw on to first in time to get Karaviotis. Lots of things happening on that play, many moving parts, but the end result is Kalika on second. Karaviotis retired for out number 2. It'll be left to David McKinnon.
Karaviotis didn't hit that ball exceptionally hard, so even if Kalika weren't going on the play, I think any fielder, any one of the two fielders, would have had a chance at fielding that ball. But the fact that Kalika going into second drew both of them towards the middle probably complicated things for the middle infield. The second baseman, Brigman, kind of whiffed coming across his body. Probably fortunate there for the Firebirds that he did so. He was going away from the first base bag, and instead it was Pinero who was able to get his momentum going on to first.
First pitch swinging is McKinnon, dumping it foul down the first base line and into right field. McKinnon had a 2 RBI single with the bases loaded on Sunday, the only 2 runs that this Gatemen offense produced all day. Here with a base hit to the outfield, he would almost certainly score the speedy Kalika for run number 1 here on Tuesday. Lauer trying to pitch out of the jam. The 0-1 to McKinnon, a breaking pitch, probably the slowest one we've seen all night. It misses badly, and it's 1-1.
One that probably slipped out of the fingertips from Lauer. As soon as his catcher was drawn out of his crouch, you could see Lauer tapping himself on the chest, saying, "My bad." Good job there by Murphy, though, to, instead of remain on his knees, bounce up and stab that ball.
Lauer steps off as Kalika got a little bit too far from second. McKinnon trying to get a run back for the Gatemen. The 1-1. Again, underneath the elbows, strike 2, and McKinnon taking exception to that one. We've seen that called all night. The Gatemen and the Firebirds, too, getting some called strikes low and in. Lauer a strike away from getting out of the jam. The 1-2 to McKinnon just got a piece and fouled it straight back. Kalika takes his lead at second. Lauer steps off after waiting for McKinnon to finish his preparation. Now back on the rubber. Taking the set. Checking Kalika at second. Again the check, and now stepping off. We've seen Kalika do this to varying degrees of success. At the very least, distract the pitcher. Whether or not he's going to steal or not is undetermined. The 1-2 to McKinnon. Hit in the air, down for a hit, left field. Kalika rounding third. He will score another clutch hit for David McKinnon. It's a 2-1 game.
I think Kalika got in the head of Eric Lauer there. He continued to take step after step after step off of second base. drew a pickoff play from Lauer, and instead of diverting his attention to McKinnon, it was all on Kalika. So in a 2-2 count, when he comes into the plate, McKinnon was sitting dead red. He got his fastball, pulled his hands through, and a great piece of hitting from the right-hander. Saw that strike called on the inside portion of the early outing of his at-bat, and here he protects against that inside pitch and deposits one into left for an RBI single.
Now Andrew Kisner flew out to center field his first time up. We'll see if they send McKinnon in motion, try to get him into scoring position. First pitch he does not go, and it's taken high, ball one by Kisner.
McKinnon has 2 stolen base attempts this season, 1 for 2 in that effort. Stole 7 bases back at Hartford, though, so he has above average speed for a first baseman.
1-0 gets in on the hands, and it's sent foul over the screen, 1-1. Firebirds scored the first 2 runs of this game. They were both unearned. 1 in the first, 1 in the top half of the fourth. The Gatemen have countered with 1 of their own here in the bottom of the fourth, looking for at least 1 more. Lauer comes to a set and delivers the 1-1 to Kisner. Hit in the air, foul down the right field line and out of play. Kisner was mired in a deep, deep slump just a few days ago, but recently we've seen him at least hit the ball hard, even if the results haven't been there.
And a lot of that because he's spread out at the plate to eliminate the head movement that comes with the leg kick and a large stride. All this done to simplify things, and he's benefited at the plate the last 2 days because of it.
Lauer takes the sign, checks the runner at first, and the 1-2 high fastball got him. Kisner strikes out, but a clutch 2-out RBI single from David McKinnon scores Andrew Kalika, and the Gatemen finally push a run across against the Firebirds. We head to the top of the fifth, 2-1 Orleans on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Stephen Woods Jr. making his first appearance in a while. ERA pretty good. It's at 2.84, 2-0 on the year, making his 8th appearance all out of the bullpen. He has 1 save to his name. 4 runs allowed. They were all earned on 12 2/3 innings. 9 strikeouts and 5 walks during that span.
He was one of the few pitchers in that Chatham game a few games ago that wasn't roughed up by a Chatham team that ultimately scored 13 runs off the Gatemen staff. Threw an inning in that game, struck out 1 and walked 1 also, lowering his ERA on the season to, like you said, 2.84. That was his last outing, so making his first appearance since July 8th, coming into a game trying to keep the deficit at 1 for the Gatemen. And the final line on Houston, you mentioned 4 innings pitched, 2 runs, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Of his 70 pitches, only 41 of them were strikes.
But both of those runs were unearned, so the ERA will go down.
Not as effective, though, as he'd have liked to been. That strike percentage just over 50%, so he was in and out of the strike zone. Yeah, he didn't allow a lot of loud hit balls off the bat, but he was not coming into the strike zone as much as Cooper Ferris would have liked to see.
Brian Reynolds stepping in. He's 0 for 2 on the day, struck out swinging in the first and flew out to center in the third. In his last at-bat, you could see the hitting potential of Reynolds. What looked to be a routine fly to left center field just kept going, and while Warren did catch it without any trouble, not very often you see a leadoff hitter with that much power to the opposite field. Woods winds and delivers, strike 1, splitting the plate in half. Hits are even at 2 apiece, somewhat improbably, as the 0-1 is bounced in the dirt to even up the count at 1-1. Firebirds have batted 4 more than the Gatemen have, thanks to 3 walks and an error that allowed a batter to reach base. Chopped and rolling foul. If you're unfamiliar with Spillane Field, the cutout of the grass meeting the dirt is the foul line. So as soon as that one crossed over and went towards the dirt, it was destined to be foul. Woods, knowing that, scooped it up as soon as it went foul, and it's 1-2.
And I'll admit that I was fooled on that play with the outside line running down the middle portion of the dirt. I was under the impression that that was the foul line on this play, so I was wondering why on earth would Stephen Woods pick that ball up there when it was clear that Reynolds was going to beat it out. He knows the ground rules a bit better than I do, and we've talked about this before, but on that play when so many things happening so quickly, tough to discern and make a rapid judgment as to what the result of the play will be.
Kisner gives Woods the sign, the 1-2, missing low in the dirt. One thing that we didn't see a whole lot of from Houston, when he missed, it seemed like he was missing up in the zone, which is dangerous, especially to a power-hitting squad like the Firebirds, but he did not pay for it. Turned into a pretty nice night here in Wareham. 2-2 from Woods, just missing the outside corner. Kisner tried to bring it back in a little bit, but to no avail. Count runs full with Pinero on deck.
And now I'll reference something that I talked about on a previous broadcast. I'm wondering, as Kisner gets more and more used to playing behind the plate, if he's going to scoot to the outside portion so it looks like the ball's in the center of his body, and perhaps that would allow him to steal a few more strikes for his pitcher. Will also probably help in the pursuit of not allowing so many pass balls. We saw one against Houston that was on the outside corner in which he reached his glove out and it hit off the tip of his glove. If he's lined up a bit more outside and angled into home plate, that hits off his glove. It probably gets him in the chest protector and just falls straight in front of him.
Something that Yadier Molina does. 3-2, missing low in the dirt, and a leadoff walk. Woods walks the first batter he faces in Brian Reynolds. That'll bring up Daniel Pinero.
The shortstop, number 10, Daniel Pinero from Virginia.
Already the fourth walk in the game drawn by the Firebirds against the Gatemen pitching staff. One of them, the one back in the first, came around to score. Pinero 0 for 1 on the day. He did draw that walk back in the first inning. Then his last time up, he flew out to right field. Woods checks Reynolds at first, comes to a set, and delivers the first pitch, low, ball 1. Woods right back with the 1-0 Pinero away, and now 2-0. And now both Kisner and Lawler out to have a chat with the righty, who's having some command issues early on. Jim Lawler's done a pretty good job with this pitching staff. The team ERA at 2.64. Made a little bit less impressive when you see that pretty much everyone else in this Cape Cod Baseball League has an ERA around there, but the results speak for themselves. A lot of good pitchers on this staff, and Lawler has managed them pretty well.
And probably even less impressive when you look at this Orleans Firebird team, a team that comes in with a top team ERA in the CCBL, and one that's nearly a run under the league average. They're sitting at 2.08, league average being at 3.02.
When I said 2.64, that's the statistic of the active roster, so not counting guys like Zach Plezak, who struggled before being taken off. 2-0, missing low in the dirt. The throw down to second is in time. He got him. A perfect throw from Andrew Kisner, literally right to the glove on top of the bag. Reynolds is retired, caught stealing.
I think both the strengths and weaknesses of Andrew Kisner behind the plate were exemplified in that play. He didn't flip his glove and take it off the chest protector. Instead, he tried to backhand it, and that's what drew Reynolds to try and swipe second base. But then Kisner pops up and showcases that immense arm potential that he has, delivering just an absolute seed into second base.
Woods walks Pinero, who fills first base that was vacated by Reynolds, who was caught stealing. So now the first two batters of Woods' outing have reached via the walk. We'll see how aggressive Bryson Brigman is at the plate. He's 0 for 2 on the day, 0 for 1, with an RBI ground out and a walk. First pitch swinging, bounced up the middle, could be a double play ball. Caraviotis to the bag, throws on to first. About as routine as it gets, score at 6-3. And the Firebirds only bat 3 in the fifth, despite getting 2 base runners. We head to the bottom of the fifth, still 2-1, Firebirds over the Gatemen on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. 2-1 Firebirds over the Gatemen as we head to the bottom of the fifth inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Eric Lauer has only allowed 2 hits, but they were both in the fourth inning, and they allowed the Gatemen to scratch across their first run of the game, and first since the first game of the season against the Firebirds.
Yeah, that snaps a 20-inning consecutive scoreless streak that the Gatemen had going on the offensive side of the ball against these Orleans Firebirds. So good for them, finally cracking the scoreless streak. Maybe that'll give them some confidence as they attack Eric Lauer here in the preceding innings.
6, 7, and 8 due up for the Gatemen. Charlie Warren, Logan Sowers, and Jay Jabs. 2 of them left-handed batters in Warren and Jabs. Warren pregame said that he thinks he's all right against left-handed pitching, but Lauer is not your usual left-handed pitcher. Throwing in the low 90s, ERA in the ones. Swings the first pitch and taps it up the first base line. Tough play for Dawson. He tags Warren, running on to first, and that'll do it. Out number 1 comes off the bat of Warren. Always tough trying to decide whether to tag the runner running by you or to go to the bag, but he made the right choice, tagging Warren, and out number 1, that'll bring up Sowers.
You mentioned Lauer maybe not being your typical left-handed pitcher, throwing a bit harder than many of his left-handed counterparts. He's also probably not your typical pitcher at Kent State, opting to go to school instead of being drafted out of high school in the Major League Draft. He was on the fringe of the first and second round, but the money he wanted wasn't in line with the money he was getting. And so, of course, if you're a Major League Baseball team, you're not going to want to take a chance on a guy who isn't even going to come to your team in that early of the draft. And so wise of them not to select him, and good for him that he's had success at Kent State.
The 1-0 to Sowers, who struck out swinging his first time up, is on the outside corner. Sowers has been fighting it at the plate, lots of strikeouts. We see him in batting practice all the time, hit baseballs into the football bleachers, but it has not yet translated into the game. The 1-1, tapped off a foot, it's 1-2.
Coming into this game, 1 for his last 22, now 1 for his last 23 with the strikeout in the third inning. Like you said, a lot of strikeouts to go along with that, and he's really struggling at the plate. Maybe he'll break out against a quality arm in Lauer.
Good take, up and away, now 2-2. Well, if Lauer keeps up what he's doing here in the Cape, I'm sure he'll get plenty of offers from Major League Baseball teams. And the next draft rolls around. Check swing. He went around. Executive decision by home plate umpire Joe Carazzo. And out number 2 comes in the form of a strikeout. That'll bring up Jay Jabs.
8 strikeouts already for Eric Lauer in fewer than 5 innings of work. A lot of that aided by multi-strikeout efforts in the first, third, and the fourth inning, looking for his now 4th inning in which he's had 2 or more strikeouts.
Strike on the outside corner to Jabs. He paws at the dirt, getting a little bit more grit on his bat. Steps back in for the 0-1 and breaking pitch that goes around the zone. Ball 1 inside. Jabs was the first base runner of the game for the Gatemen. He walked with 1 out in the bottom of the third inning, but then on the first pitch tried to steal second and was thrown out by a pretty good margin. And that was the end of his first plate appearance. The 1-1 is fouled back to the screen. It's 1-2. One-two to Jabs. Tapped foul towards the Gatemen dugout. Can't see anyone warming up in earnest in the Gatemen bullpen, so we assume that Stephen Woods is out there for the long haul. Had some command issues in the top half of this inning, but only faced 3 men. 1-2 to Jabs. Outside, ball 2. Lauer gets him swinging, ties him up with an inside fastball, and that'll do it for the Gatemen in the 5th. We are through 5. 2-1 Orleans on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Two-1 Firebirds over the Gatemen. We are now in the top of the 6th inning. This game moving along at a pretty good clip. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. 4, 5, and 6 due up for the Firebirds in the 6th against Stephen Woods Jr. beginning his 2nd inning of work. Lewis was robbed of a base hit back in the 1st inning. Nice diving play by second baseman Kramer Robertson going up the middle. Then had a foul fly down the left field line that was snagged by Logan Sowers to end the 3rd inning.
Worth mentioning that Stephen Woods Jr. was a 6th-round selection by the Tampa Bay Rays in the 2013 MLB draft. You don't get drafted in the 6th round out of high school if you have reliever potential written all over you. You want a guy in those rounds, especially from high school, that has starter stuff. So for him to come in the 5th inning and no one warming up in the Gateman bullpen indicating that he's going to be in here for the long haul, really a vote of confidence from his head coach and realizing that his pitcher on the mound has the ability to go deep into a game even if it's in long relief.
Count 1-1 to Lewis, who is a very, very dangerous hitter. 5 home runs for the Firebirds. The 1-1. Skied in the air, infield. Behind home plate, Kisner doesn't see it. And it hits above us on the press box. It's a good thing Kisner had no play on it, because had it dropped, he would have let it drop. So the count now 1-2 to Lewis. Lewis put on a show in batting practice like so many of these other Firebirds hitters. Woods with the windup and the delivery. Breaking pitch, missing inside. Not as far inside as I think Lewis thought it was going to be, turning away, bracing for impact. But the count 2-2. Hit in the air, deep center field. Looked like it got in on the hands a little bit as Warren, after taking a few steps back, now steps in and puts it away for a routine flyout, out number 1. The loud crack of the bat, that must just be routine with Lewis. Now another guy who is synonymous with loud noises coming off the bat, Bobby Dahlbeck. 0 for 2 on the day, but he reached base in the 4th on an error by the center fielder Charlie Warren. Later came around to score on a pass ball by Kisner. A run that is, in so many words, double unearned, because he got on via an error, and then he scored on the pass ball, ball 1 missing low, bouncing in the dirt, and going to the backstop. Woods from the windup delivers, gets a swing and a miss. Out of the glove of Kisner with nobody on, no matter, and it's quickly 1-1. Woods pitching at a nice rapid pace with nobody on base. Good for the spectators, good for the announcers, but most importantly, good for the fielders behind him. I think we saw the result of some lethargic pitching when those unearned runs scored in the first couple innings. It's swing and a miss, and now 1-2.
It's as if a pitch clock were imposed on Stephen Woods.
The 1-2 to Dahlbeck, hit off a foot, and it's still 1-2. Do you believe in the pitch clock? Do you think that's something that is good? I think the question of whether or not it will happen is separate, but do you think that's a good idea?
I do, as a matter of fact, and I think we saw it on a lot less meaningful of a stage last night in the home run derby. Things got more exciting when there was a sense of urgency, and I think one of the reasons that baseball is losing popularity is that it's too slow for the average American viewer. I don't think games that last 2 hours and 20 minutes should be something that we try and avoid. We need to get to that mark. And yes, Cape League games are a lot faster than Major League games or even college games, and so I don't know if a pitch clock would be necessary here, but in a larger scale on college leagues and the MLB, I think it's a worthwhile venture.
The 1-2 to Dahlbeck gets a swing and a miss. Got him to chase, and the dangerous Dahlbeck is retired. 2 down now in the 6th. I am of the opinion that while a pitch clock would produce a desired result, I don't know if that's the right way to go about it. Having a pitch clock creates a sense of urgency that I don't think is native to baseball. I think there are ways to incentivize quick play on the part of the pitchers, perhaps fining them for spending too much time dawdling on the mound like they've done with batters this year in Major League Baseball. First pitch to Nick Zamorelli goes to the backstop. I do think the inning break has been a good idea. And the players are almost overwhelmingly on board. They want fans to like their sport, and that's one of the ways in which they do it. The 1-0, again missing, this time inside, and it's 2-0.
I don't even think having a pitch clock would create this sense of urgency that people are so scared of. I think it would just quicken play and reduce the amount of wait time. I know fielders would definitely appreciate that. There's no reason to stand on the mound for a total of 25 seconds between pitches. It's just not necessary.
Zamorelli uncorks a wild swing at a high fastball and comes up empty. It's 2-1.
I think it all goes back to the game of baseball being so intertwined with tradition and people clinging on to those traditions and being scared of trying new things that potentially could be beneficial.
Another high fastball and gets a swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. We'll have to see what Wood's velocities are. Certainly looks like he's blowing the fastball by hitters here in the sixth. 2-2 to Zamorelli. Chopped on the ground. Easy play for Woods. Underhand flip onto first in time. And Woods faces just 3 men in the Firebirds half of the sixth. We head to the bottom half of the sixth. Still 2-1 Orleans over the Gatemen. You're watching WCTV in the Cape Cod Baseball League Network.
Well, I guess let's talk a little bit about what we knew she was going to say, and that's the departure of Jarrett Rindfleisch, no longer on the Gatemen active roster. He was released yesterday. He will likely rejoin the team July 26th, I believe, but the Gatemen catching depth taking a hit there as Siebert was activated to fill the void, and Kisner will now see a lot of opportunities behind the plate.
Yeah, there are 3 guys now on the active roster who can catch, Kisner, Sierra, and Siebert. As the 2-0 misses inside, and it hits John Sternagel. So Parker Bean comes in and offers 3 straight balls, the last of which gives the Gatemen a base runner to lead off the 6th inning. That'll roll the lineup over for Andrew Kalika. We now have the final totals on Eric Lauer. He went 5 innings pitched. Allowed 1 run, it was earned, 2 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, 79 pitches, 56 of them for strikes. A very impressive outing for the lefty.
Yeah, and right in line with his season totals, more strikeouts than innings pitched, and he continues that trend against the Gatemen. The 1 run coming to score on a David McKinnon single. It was an earned run.
Kalika squares to bunt. It's a good one down the third base line. Dahlbeck throws across in time to get the speedy Kalika. Sacrifice is successful. Sternagel advancing to second. Score at 5-3. Kalika not giving it at bat. Instead of sacrifice. Sternagel on to second. That'll bring up Kramer Robertson with a chance to tie this game.
Kalika's the closest thing to a sure thing that the Wareham Gatemen have in their batting order right now, so I think it's a little interesting that Cooper Ferris opts to sack bunt him in that situation. You know for a fact he's going to get the bunt down because he's an exceptional bunter, but you also take the bat out of the hand of your hottest hitter, and now you're relying on guys in Robertson and Karaviotis who have combined for 3 strikeouts, and they need a hit now.
First pitch swinging, chopped on the left side. Tough play for Dahlbeck. Fires across in time. Sternagel advancing to third, but now 2 down. It'll be left to Karaviotis. Things developing quickly here. Kalika on the first pitch, dropping down the sacrifice. Robertson on the first pitch. About as good as a sacrifice, a chopper to the left side. Now Karaviotis, who's 0 for 2 on the day, a strikeout and a ground out to short. Sternagel is at third. Just a moment ago, he was hit by a pitch to reach base. Ball 1 misses outside. Gatemen would feel a lot better if they could get this run across and tie up the game heading into the late innings. The 1-0 to Karaviotis. Hit in the air to center. It's shallow. Tough play. Going in is the center fielder Reynolds, and he hasn't measured, puts it away for out number 3. The Gatemen get a runner to third base, but they strand him. We head to the top of the 7th. Still 2-1 Orleans over the Gatemen on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. Two-1 Firebirds over the Gatemen as we head to the top of the 7th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. Bottom of the order due up for the Firebirds against Stephen Woods Jr., 7, 8, and 9, Sean Murphy, Ronnie Dawson, and Austin Miller. Stephen Woods Jr. has faced just 6 men. He had some command issues early on when he came in to start the top of the 5th inning. Walked the first 2 batters he faced, but retired the first one on the bases with the caught stealing, and then got a 6-3 inning-ending double play, and then followed that up with a 1-2-3 6th inning. Gatemen came close to tying this game in the bottom of the 6th inning. Leadoff hit by pitch, got Sternagel to first, advanced to second on a sacrifice, advanced to third on a ground out. Then Mark Caraviotis flew out to shallow center to end the threat and strand Sternagel on third.
Both of these teams only have 2 hits as we go into the 7th inning, 2 runs for the Firebirds, 1 for the Gatemen, and you see the plethora of Firebirds outside of the dugout mid-inning, taking hacks, trying to get a sense of what Stephen Woods is offering on the mound. Yes, they've had plenty of base runners, but really not a lot of hard contact off these Gatemen pitchers.
Sean Murphy leading off, singled his first time up. That was back in the 2nd. Got as far as 2nd, then was stranded. Then popped out to first in the 4th inning. First pitch from Woods. Misses high and tight, ball 1. Both runs for the Firebirds this evening are unearned. The 1-0 missing high, 2-0, and now the command issues look like they have resurfaced for Woods.
These 2 pitching staffs going about their success in differing ways. For the Gatemen, they have notched only 4 strikeouts, but have shown good composure in getting out of tough situations with runners on base. Meanwhile, the Firebirds have accumulated 9 strikeouts against the Gatemen lineup. If you're going to ask me which one I think is more sustainable, obviously it's the 9 strikeouts for the Firebirds, but the Gatemen seem to have figured something out. As soon as they get runners on base, they've really started to hunker down.
Murphy rips one left center field. Sowers turning around, and it's off the wall. Murphy into second with a stand-up double. If that one had a little bit more altitude, it would have been out for sure. But an absolute rocket to left center field, and now a runner in scoring position to start the 7th inning for the Firebirds.
Yeah, a game ago we saw a ball that probably wouldn't have been hit out of Spillane Field. At Red Wilson Field with the shallow center field, a ball was given a charge and left the fence. That ball was hit immensely harder than the one we saw a few days ago, just on a frozen rope with no altitude underneath it. That has a little bit of it. That departs this ballpark quite easily, and the Firebirds would have a 2-run lead. Instead, we'll get to see this Gatemen pitching staff work out of another situation with the runner on base.
Lawler out to have a chat. We haven't seen anyone warming up down the bullpen, but now we see a lefty. Can't identify who it is, but a left-handed pitcher making some tosses in the bullpen. And there is going to be a call to the bullpen. A very abrupt call to the bullpen. Woods Jr. gives up a leadoff double in his 3rd inning of work, and that'll be it. A lefty who had to warm up quite briskly is going to come in the game. Looks like it's Ben Parr. Ben Parr. So Parr will take his warm-up tosses. We'll have more on the lefty when we come back. You're watching WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. A leadoff double here in the top of the 7th spells the end for Stephen Woods Jr. Ben Parr in the game. Parr on the year is yet to allow an earned run. He hasn't pitched all that often, making just his 6th appearance, 5th out of the pen. No record on the year, 0.00 ERA, 8 1/3 scoreless innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts.
Parr making his first appearance since July 7th, which came in on a start against the Cotuit Kettleers. Went 3 innings, allowed 3 hits, and struck out 4. Interesting, though, because you mentioned this. I don't think he got a whole lot of warm-up activity. He's not a guy who's going to overpower you with an immense amount of fastballs. He is the definition of a crafty lefty, and for that reason, as well as the warm-up reason, interesting move to go to Parr in this situation against a power-hitting team in the Firebirds.
Definitely had to warm up in an abrupt fashion. Looks like the warm-up tosses are all right, save for that last one. But he'll face Ronnie Dawson, who is 0 for 1 on the day. He walked back in the second inning, and then a foul pop behind home plate that Andrew Kisner, the catcher, made a nice play on. Interesting, too, that they bring in Parr, a lefty, to face the righty Dawson.
Attention, please, a pinch hitter for the Firebirds. Now batting number 15, Jeremy Martinez from Southern California.
Beg your pardon, it's a pinch hitter. Jeremy Martinez, the right-handed hitter, pinch hitting for Ronnie Dawson, who is a left-handed hitter, so that makes sense. Cooper Ferris forcing the hand of Kelly Nicholson. So Jeremy Martinez in the game at catcher, batting .155 on the year, 9 hits and 58 at-bats. He squares to bunt, and he gets it down successfully. Nice play. Parr has to hurry. Throw to first is in time. A nice bunt, a nice play by Parr. Ultimately a sacrifice, and Murphy advances to third, 1 down.
Yeah, very nice play there from Ben Parr. We've seen the Gatemen pitchers have trouble in that exact same circumstance throughout the course of the season, unable to bounce off the mound and field their position. A good job there by Parr, instead of picking that up with his glove, to opt with his bare hand, push the ball into the ground, and then pick it up and throw a dart over to first base.
Now Austin Miller, 0 for 2 on the day. No, another pinch hitter, number 27, Alex Call. Call out of Ball State, 308 on the year, 16 hits and 52 at-bats, 2 doubles and 1 home run, 7 runs batted in. First pitch to Call, an off-speed pitch, bends over the outside corner, 0-1. So a whole glut of substitutions here. Call in for Austin Miller, who is 0 for 2.
The Gatemen infield now drawn in the situation with the runner on third and 1 out. They want the runner cut down at the plate.
Another off-speed pitch, this one missing outside. It's 1-1.
We'll see if a ground ball in the infield means the runner on third, Murphy, will be running on the play. The top of the lineup due up next. It's not out of the question that he does not go.
1-1, hit shallow right field behind the infield, and it'll drop for a base hit. If the infield was playing at normal depth, it would be a routine pop-out, but instead, an RBI single for the pinch hitter Alex Call to score now 3-1 Orleans.
Really unfortunate there for the Gatemen. It was a good pitch from Ben Parr on the mound. Alex Call off the end of the bat just managed to find a hole. And it's always easy to look back and say, if a situation were played differently, then it would have been an out. I think the Gatemen had to come in there and try and cut that run down at the plate. I don't think you can assume that you're going to get a lazy pop-up like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Reminiscent of the end of the 2001 World Series, the broken bat single off the bat of Luis Gonzalez. It would have been an out in any other situation. First pitch misses inside to Brian Reynolds. But you see that every single time someone beats a shift, which happens with even more frequency nowadays with teams adopting the shift with more regularity.
You have to play the percentages, and there are always going to be outliers, but it's no reason not to bring the infield in or no reason not to shift entirely. You got to do it because that's what the data overwhelmingly supports.
1-0 to Reynolds, missing the outside corner, 2-0. Firebirds have tacked one on here in the top of the 7th inning to take a 2-run lead. Ben Parr on in relief, trying to clean up the mess. Called strike on an off-speed pitch. It's 2-1. Call, who hit the pinch hit single, is at first. The modest lead, he's checked back. Parr from the stretch, the 2-1. Chopped on the ground left side, and a bad hop gets through the legs of Sternagel at third. Not a fundamentally sound play by Sternagel, but it definitely was a bad hop going low. It'll be an error, and first and second with one out now for the dangerous Pinero.
Yeah, and the fundamentals that were out of line there from Sternagel, he was playing the ball as if it were going to take a high hop. Instead of starting with his glove down low, anticipating a low hop, he started high. Always much tougher going from high to low instead of starting low and then adjusting for a potentially bad hop and lifting your glove up to field it about mid-chest area. That ball just hit the lip of the grass and stayed down on him, and he paid the price.
Pinero takes a strike on the outside corner. He's 0 for 1, but he's also drawn 2 walks. Back in the first, when he walked, he came around to score. The 0-1 missing wide to even up the count. The runner at second, Call. The runner at first, Reynolds. Pinero at the plate with a 1-1 count. Parr's delivery. Big swing and a miss on a high fastball. It's 1-2. This is the first earned run allowed by the Gatemen this evening. The 1-2 missing inside. A pitch that we have sometimes seen called for a strike, but not that time, and the count now 2-2.
Pinero hugging the inside portion of the plate, probably because of soft-throwing lefty. Ben Parr is on the mound. He feels comfortable in being able to get around on an inside pitch should Parr opt with the fastball, and so that may have clouded the judgment a bit of the home plate umpire Joe Caraco in deeming that pitch a ball.
2-2 from Parr, half swing, gets away from Kisner. He doesn't know where it is. It's to the right side of him. Both runners will move up, and lucky for Kisner that that's all they did. Scored a wild pitch. Reynolds advances to second. Call advances to third. And now, 2 runners in scoring position for Pinero, who has a chance to put this game even more out of reach.
It's a wild pitch, but probably a miscue still on Kisner. He wants to keep that ball in front of him, and one that he probably should keep in front of him to pick up his pitcher Parr and to allow him to throw more balls in the dirt.
Now, with the count full, they're going to opt to intentionally walk Pinero, an interesting choice. They had 2 strikes on him. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Why not just throw a high fastball that is not going to be possibly hit anywhere and see if he'll chase it for ball 4?
Yeah, it's beyond me why you would walk the 2-hitter Pinero, who's hitting .205 this season, to get to Bryson Brigman, who's hitting .387, and then to the 4 and 5 guys who possess an immense amount of pop. Going against the grain there, we'll see if it pays off. It does allow the infield to scoot back as the one positive thing. So now a double play potentially in order for the middle infield. They're up the middle, drawn back, while the corners are playing about halfway on the cut of the grass.
Bases loaded, 1 out for Bryson Brigman. The 0-1 hits the outside corner, and it's 0-2. Of course, the move could pay off with an inning-ending double play, and I'd look quite silly. Parr comes to a set and delivers the 0-2 to Brigman. Hit in the air, foul, and out of play right side.
Even then, I don't know if you would look quite silly, because you can intentionally walk someone without intentionally walking someone, if you know what I'm saying. You can throw a fastball, like you said, high in the zone, not wanting to come in the strike zone, but still looking like you're coming in the strike zone to potentially draw a swing and miss.
0-2, just missing the outside corner. Good job laying off by Brigman. The runner at third, Call. The runner at second, Reynolds. The runner at first, Pinero. Firebirds have 1 here in the 7th, looking for more. The 1-2, hit in the air, left field. Sowers chasing and reaching up. He drops it. 1 run will score, everyone advancing. Reynolds will stay at third. It's an error, another error by this Gateman defense, and the score now 4-1.
It's a tough air because Logan Sowers covered so much ground in getting to that ball and ultimately leaped and reached out his glove. It hit off his glove, and yes, he has to make that catch, and he wants to make that catch. I'd tell you he should make that catch, but he covered so much ground there. Tough to not have your head bobbing up and down. I'm sure the ball was changing eyesight quite frequently. But for him, a run scores on the play, and another run charged to the line of Ben Parr.
Base is still loaded for Kyle Lewis, 0 for 3 on the day. He wanted to put this game to 8-1, but he comes up empty on a high fastball. Second error of the inning and third in the game. If indeed that is called an error. Yes, it is. The 0-1 on the inside corner, strike 2. The dangerous Kyle Lewis at the plate with the bases loaded and 1 out. The 0-2 in the dirt, and it gets through the legs of Kisner. Runner to the plate is in time, and now the throw goes into shallow infield. A wild pitch, although something that Kisner should block, and another run comes in. It's now 5-1 Orleans.
And now the wheels just starting to fall off of the Gatemen. They had been living on the edge early in the ball game, allowing these miscues to happen for the Firebirds and still managing to get out of them. And now we get word that it's a pass ball on Andrew Kisner. He struggled behind the plate today, and this defense as a whole has really struggled in keeping Firebirds off the base paths.
The 1-2 to Lewis, hit in the air, shallow right field. Jabs coming in. The Firebirds know better than to test that arm. Another strong throw to the plate, and the runners stay put. So Lewis retired on an F9, and that'll bring up Bobby Dahlbeck, who is just as dangerous. 3 runs so far for the Firebirds here in the 7th inning. They only have 2 hits. An intentional walk and 2 errors have led to the other 3 base runners. Parr has been failed by his defense. And now another intentional walk. Dahlbeck will be given a free pass to go to first base and set up the force play, reload the bases for Nick Zamorelli, the 9th man to bat this inning. In the bottom of the 6th inning, the Gatemen put a runner on third base. It was, at the time, the tying run. But they failed to get that run in, and the pendulum swung the other way. 3 runs so far for the Firebirds in the top half of the 7th inning. And now the base is reloaded for the 9th man to bat this inning, Nick Zamorelli. Second intentional walk in 4 batters puts Dahlbeck at first, Brigman still at second, and Pinero still at third. Zamorelli on the day, 1 for 3 with a single. Back in the 4th inning, he takes a called strike. The 0-1, a high fastball, gets a swing and a miss, and it's quickly 0-2. Parr trying to get out of the jam without allowing any further damage. Now time is called. Zamorelli wants a moment. Parr takes the sign, comes to a set, and delivers the 0-2 to Zamorelli, just missing the outside corner. At the very least, Parr has thrown strikes. He's walked 2, but they were both intentional. The 1-2 to Zamorelli, hit foul and out of play behind home plate. Parr should be out of this inning. He started this inning with a runner at second. That run was charged to Stephen Woods Jr. when it came around on an RBI single by Alex Call. 1-2 to Zamorelli, tap foul. First out came on a sacrifice bunt by Jeremy Martinez, the pinch hitter, hitting in the 8th spot. Second out should have come off the bat of Brian Reynolds, but he reached on an error by the third baseman John Sternagel. The 1-2 hit on the ground right side. Robertson has to charge, throws on to first in time to get Zamorelli, and that'll do it for the Firebirds in the 7th. But they score 3 runs on only 2 hits. They benefit from 2 Gatemen errors. We head to the 7th inning stretch. It's now 5-1 Orleans over Wareham on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The score now 5-1. The Firebirds over the Gatemen as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. McKinnon, Kisner, and Warren, the 4, 5, and 6 hitters, are due up in the 7th against Parker Bean. The first run allowed in the top of the 7th was earned and charged to Stephen Woods Jr. The second 2 unearned and on the ledger of Ben Parr, who really didn't pitch all that poorly, but his defense behind him and in front of him failed with a passed ball and 2 errors, one on the third baseman John Sternagel and one on the left fielder Logan Sowers.
Playing against a team that's by far and away been the best team in the Cape Cod Baseball League, you can't have these unforced errors. And they're now coming in bunches for the Gatemen after a few of them at the start. But this is a team that has built their success off just talent alone. When you compound that by making errors by yourself, then that talent becomes even more magnified, and now the Gatemen now trailing here in the 7th inning.
McKinnon first pitch swinging, sends it out to deep center field, but Reynolds back a few steps, has it measured, and puts it away out number 1. McKinnon has one of the 2 hits for the Gatemen today. That was an RBI single back in the 4th inning. Bring up Andrew Kisner, who's 0 for 2 with a fly out to center and a strikeout.
Catcher number 6, Andrew Kisner from North Carolina State.
Now we'll see if the Gatemen are more aggressive at the plate. Down 4 runs with only 8 more outs to go. First pitch misses inside to Kisner, ball 1.
The Gatemen are in danger of falling into territory in which the Orleans Firebirds have been perfect this season. It's the bottom of the 7th right now. If the pitcher Bean is able to get 2 more outs, we go into the 8th inning in which, when leading, the Firebirds are 19-0 this season.
Kisner's plunked, and he's aboard now at first with 1 down in the 7th for Charlie Warren. Second hit batsman of the outing for Parker Bowe. He hit the first batter he faced, John Sternagel, back in the 6th, but then stranded him at third base. Charlie Warren is 0 for 2 on the day, yet to get the ball out of the infield. Tapper back to the pitcher and a tapper to the first baseman. Bean's first pitch is rolled on the ground to short. On to second, on to first, not in time. So Warren beats out the fielder's choice, but Kisner retired at second, now 2 down for Logan Sowers. Sowers is yet to put the ball in play today, 2 strikeouts swinging. It's been an issue for him. The runner at first, Warren, 2 down in the bottom of the 7th inning. Should Sowers reach, Jabs would get a chance to bat. Strike right down the middle, and it's 0-1. The pitch to Sowers, swung on and missed. He went chasing, and it's 0-2. Sowers again in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes, trying to avoid striking out for the 3rd time in 3 plate appearances tonight. Bean takes the sign, comes to the set, and delivers very wide, ball 1. Bean right back on the rubber with the 1-2 to Sowers. Tapped weakly right back to Bean. Underhand flip onto first, and that'll do it for the Gatemen. They bat 4, but they do not get a hit, and they do not get a run. We head to the top of the 8th. Still 5-1 Orleans over Wareham on WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. We head to the top of the 8th inning, 5-1 Orleans over Wareham. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. It's turned into a pretty nice night. We had some initial concerns that there would be weather rolling in, but not a drop since first pitch. It'll be 7, 8, 9 for the Firebirds due up in the 8th inning against Ben Parr. Sean Murphy, then Jeremy Martinez and Alex Call, or at least those spots due up. Parr came in the 7th inning. He faced 8 men and only retired 3 of them, 1 on a sacrifice, but 2 intentional walks and 2 errors. We'll see if, given a clean slate, he has a cleaner inning here in the top of the 8th. First pitch swinging, ripped and threw into left field for a base hit. Karaviotis gave it a valiant effort, but coming up just an inch or 2 short, and Murphy's aboard once again to lead off an inning, this time in the 8th.
Now 3 hits on the afternoon, or rather the evening, for Sean Murphy. 3 for 4, 2 singles and a double and a run scored. The recipe for success for this Orleans Firebirds team has been getting base runners on, and they do so here for the 2nd straight inning in the 8th.
Jeremy Martinez takes high ball 1. He pinch hit when the lefty Parr came in, and then promptly dropped down a sacrifice bunt. The 1-0 is outside, the back pick to first, not in time. Murphy's back safely.
The fact that Kisner backpicked there really shows that he's starting to get an understanding of the subtleties of catching. When there's a runner on first and a throw draws you outside, why not backpick in that situation? He showcased the strong arm here tonight, trying to get the runner on first and Murphy napping a bit.
The 2-0 misses somewhere. Looked like a pretty good pitch from this vantage point, but it's 3-0 with Alex Call waiting on deck. The 3-0 on the outside corner, and it looked like the 2-0 pitch was better than the 3-0 pitch, but count 3-1. Parr delivers, rope down the left field line, a fair ball. Sowers up with it quickly, so Murphy will have to stay at second, but another hard hit ball as the throw back in trickles through Parr, no matter. First and second, nobody out for the 9-hitter Call. And we'll see if Lawler comes out. Looks like someone is warming up in the Gatemen bullpen.
Now the hard hits are starting to come, and this could get ugly. You saw the throw there from Sowers, missed the cutoff man. Not really a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but just goes to show that once you start allowing these unforced errors to start happening, then the wheels start to fall off, hard contact starts to become more apparent, and the runs start coming in bunches.
First pitch missing very high. Kisner was lucky he got a glove on it. It's 1-0. Call came in as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning. Pinch hit RBI single over a drawn-in infield, and that scored the first run of the 7th, and it made the score 3-1. 1-0 missing outside. It's 2-0. The Firebirds are 20-8 on the year for a reason. When given opportunities, they capitalize on them, and it's been no different tonight as the 2-0 missing high ball 3.
And because of that, this impending outcome, if the Gatemen should falter here against the Firebirds, it becomes a little bit more manageable. You look at Orleans on your schedule, and while you don't pencil in a loss, you assume that it's going to be a more hotly contested battle than a game, say, against the last place team, one that you're coming in wholeheartedly anticipating to win. So it's not like it's a wasted day for the Gatemen, but I guess in the sense that unforced error after unforced error, it just turns into a pretty bad feeling that's brewing in your stomach.
Ball 4 loads the bases. That'll bring up the top of the order in Brian Reynolds, and that'll bring out Jim Lawler. First 3 men have reached here in the top of the 8th inning off of Ben Parr. 2 singles and now a walk. No signal down to the bullpen yet, but it looks like one is imminent. And there it is. We're going to have a new pitcher in the game for the Gatemen. We'll step away, and when we come back, we'll have more information on the new arm. 5-1 Orleans, but threatening for more. Bases loaded. Nobody out in the top of the 8th on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The new pitcher in the game is Jared Price. Price did not start the year with the Gatemen, instead with the Falmouth Commodores, but coming over about a week and a half ago, and he's been pretty good since.
Yeah, in 2 appearances for the Gatemen, he's lowered his ERA that was sitting at 12 when he came in. Now it's at 6.75, thanks to a scoreless inning against these very Orleans Firebirds back on July 5th, and then a 3 2/3 outing against Chatham, in which he allowed 1 earned run, struck out 4. So he's seen these Firebirds before, now coming in perhaps a little bit of a different situation with the bases juiced, nobody out. And against a team that's now flipping things over to the top portion of their lineup, the hard hits have started to roll in. Very tough contest for him.
Parr faced 11 batters, which is probably more than he's used to facing out of the bullpen. He was ineffective in the sense that he gave up runs, and he's responsible for the 3 men on base right now, but in that 7th inning, a very taxing inning, he really didn't do all that poorly. The final tally, 1+ innings pitched, 2 runs, none of them earned, 3 hits, 3 walks, 2 of them intentional, no strikeouts, 43 pitches, 24 of them for strikes. He is, though, responsible for all 3 runners on base right now. Price challenges Reynolds with a pitch and fouled straight back to the screen. It's 0-1. Reynolds on the day making his 5th plate appearance. 0 for 3 on the day with a walk, and last time up, reached and scored on an error by the third baseman, John Sternagel. The 0-1 fouled off, and it's 0-2. Price looking in for the sign, ahead in the count 0-2 to Brian Reynolds. The windup and the delivery missing low. Kisner keeps it in front of him. It's now 1-2. The runner at third, Murphy. Runner at second, Martinez. Runner at first, Call. Price is 1-2 to Reynolds. Hit right up the middle and through into center field. 1 run will score. Everyone else will be held. Station-to-station baseball, an RBI single for Brian Reynolds. The score now 6-1, and the bases still loaded with nobody out.
That's what happens when you come in with a bases-loaded situation. Even in a 1-2 count, you feel at least a little bit of pressure to come into the strike zone. You don't want to throw an excessive amount of balls to potentially walk home a run. So even on 1-2, you have to cover at least a little bit of the plate. Reynolds knows that, and because of it, was able to barrel up a fastball and deposit one into center field.
Now David Pinero, 0 for 1 on the day, but he's walked 3 times. One of them, the last time, intentionally takes low ball 1. Also scored a run back in the 1st inning. That was the first run of the game for the Firebirds. Price with the 1-0 to Pinero, lined into center field, down for a base hit. Martinez will score, Call on to third. Another RBI single. 5 straight men have reached to begin the 8th inning. The score now 7-1 Orleans.
So many ways you can break this down. That fastball over the heart of the plate. Pinero didn't miss it. Hard contact after hard contact. 4 singles in this inning for the Firebirds, and their most powerful hitters haven't even come to the plate yet.
Bryson Brigman stepping in. He has a run batted in today. That was on a ground out in the 1st. But he's 0 for 3 with a walk, and then his last time up reached on an error by the left fielder Logan Sowers, a hard hit ball in the gap that Sowers dropped. First pitch in the dirt, stopped by Kisner. This game has turned pretty ugly pretty quickly. Gatemen in the bottom of the 6th inning had the tying run on third base. In on the fist to the shortstop, Karaviotis onto second for one, onto first, a double play. Another run scores, but the Gatemen get 2 outs on 1 pitch. And it's a trade at this point that they're very, very likely and happy to make. Score now 8-1, and the runner is now at third in Reynolds.
Right fielder number 8, Kyle Lewis.
Score that 6-4-3. No run batted in for Brigman because he recorded 2 outs on the play. Panero forced out, Reynolds advancing to third, and Call scoring. 3 runs now for the Firebirds in the 8th inning, all of them charged to Ben Parr, whose book is now closed. Ball 1 missing outside to Kyle Lewis, who in this offensive onslaught has been surprisingly absent. 0 for 4 on the day. 1-0 missing inside, it's 2-0. Price with the 2-0, tapped on the ground, left side. Long throw across the diamond by Karaviotis, but he handles it. And that'll do it for the Firebirds. 3 more runs in the top of the 8th. It is now an 8-1 ball game. You're listening to WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. The score is 8-1, Orleans over Wareham as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. New pitcher in the game for the Firebirds is Jason Harper, who wore a Gateman uniform last year and for a while before the season this year.
Yeah, right-hander, 6'1", 200 pounds on the mound. His ERA has been inflated over the course of the past few ball games, now sitting at 5.23. He's made 10 appearances so far, all in relief. And he's been the de facto closer for this team. 4 out of their 7 saves have come on his arm. Lately, though, he blew a save in his last appearance, and then before that, coughed up a pair of runs in a non-save situation. All in all, 11 strikeouts and 10.1 innings of work.
He'll face 8, 9, and 1, or at least those spots do up. Jab, Sternagel, and then Kalika. But with this game, I think it's safe to say at this point, out of reach. Might see a pinch hitter or 2.
Totals for Parker being 2 innings pitched. Didn't allow anything. No walks, no strikeouts, no earned runs, and no hits. 15 of his pitches, 8 of them were strikes. He did hit 2 batters, though. So 2 base runners for the Gatemen coming in that fashion.
Jabs 0 for 1 on the day. He walked back in the 3rd, then was promptly caught stealing 2nd. He struck out swinging in the 5th, and now making just his 3rd plate appearance of the game here in the 8th. Harper winds and delivers, lined to the glove of the 3rd baseman, Bobby Dahlbeck. Nice play. 1 pitch, 1 out. Score that L5. That'll bring up John Sternagel, 0 for 1 as well. He struck out swinging in the 3rd and then was hit by a pitch in the 6th, got as far as 3rd before he was stranded. At the time, he was the tying run. I beg your pardon, Sternagel out. It's going to be Nick Cieri. Not sure if Cieri is going to play 3rd base in the top of the 9th inning, but I'm sure that concern is secondary at this point. Cieri on the year, batting an even .400, 18 hits and 45 at-bats. Only one of them for extra bases. That was a double he dumped down the left field line a few days ago. Harper's to Cieri, missing low and away. It's 1-0. Cieri, I believe, has played some 3rd base at Maryland, and played some first base as well. The easy switch, I guess, would be to put Cieri behind the plate and switch Kisner to 3rd. Things have quieted down considerably now that the lead has been extended. The 2-0 missing outside. And now Cieri ahead in the count, 3-0. Harper winds and delivers the 3-0 low in the zone. A 4-pitch walk to the pinch hitter Sierra. He trots down to first. A base runner for the Gatemen, something that has happened all too infrequently in this recent stretch.
And now perhaps the most exciting thing that we'll get to watch in this ball game is Andrew Kalika trying to extend his 2-hit streak to a total of 6 games. Had a hit and scored the only run for the Gatemen back in the 4th inning. So now with 5 multi-hit games in a row coming into this, he'll try his hand in what is likely his final at-bat of this game.
1 for 2 with a single, a strikeout, and a sacrifice bunt. First pitch inside, and it got him in the knee area. So the on-base percentage will go up, but the batting average remains stationary. He trots down to first, Sierra to second. The Gatemen have a little bit of a threat going. That's the 3rd time in 3 innings that a member of the Gatemen lineup has been hit by a pitch. It was Sternagel in the 6th, Kisner in the 7th, and now Kalika in the 8th.
Kalika will see his batting average take a few ticks up at the conclusion of this ball game because he's still 1 for 2 in 4 official plate appearances. He also laid down a sac bunt and, as you just saw, hit by a pitch.
Conference on the mound, no motion to the bullpen yet, but Harper perhaps out here to try and regain the form that he had early on in the year, has struggled. A hard out to the glove of the third baseman Dahlbeck. A walk and now hit by a pitch. He's staying in the game, at least for the time being. He will face Kramer Robertson and then, should the inning be extended, Mark Karaviotis. Robertson on the day, 0 for 3. Struck out his first 2 times, then grounded out to third in the 6th. Harper's pitch to Robinson. On the inside corner, strike 1. Robertson trying to extend a streak of his own of getting on base. Time is called behind home plate. Now Murphy out to have a chat.
Trying to extend that streak to a total of 14 games in every single game in which he started for the Gatemen. And since he's been here, he's started in all but 1 of those games. In all 13 of them, he's been on base. Today, though, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts.
Harper comes to a set, checks the runner Sierra, and delivers to Robertson. In on the hands, 1-1. Harper with the 1-1 to Robertson. Fisted into shallow center field. Second baseman back. Brigman makes the catch. Out number 2. Almost ducked in for a hit, but instead it's out number 2. Things will be left to Mark Karaviotis.
Pretty difficult play, made pretty easy there by Bryson Brigman. He charged back initially and then, as you saw, rotated his hips, squared his body to the ball. Allows for a little bit more control, and he put it away with ease.
Karaviotis came up in his last at-bat. With a runner at third, it was the tying run, but flew out to center. First pitch misses high, ball 1. On the day, Karaviotis 0 for 3, strikeout, ground out, and a flyout. Harper with the 1-0 to Karaviotis. Ripped foul towards the Firebirds dugout. Karaviotis trying to extend the inning and get the Gatemen back into this game. It would take a little help from his teammates, too. The 1-1 to Karaviotis, missing outside, 2-1. For a blowout game, it's moving along pretty slowly, or at least that's what it seems like from up here. Harper's 2-1 to Karaviotis. Rip down the left field line. Fair ball. Sierra rounding third. He'll score. Kalika right behind him. He'll be held at third. An RBI double for Mark Karaviotis. And now the score 8-2.
It's a shame that the extra base hit that is so often eluded the Gatemen here this season comes when it's already a blowout. Turns out to be an RBI double for Mark Karaviotis. Kalika was held at third on the play. A good rip from him on a fastball inside. Barreled it up. Quick hands there, deposited it into left field. But at this point, especially with 2 outs, still down by 6 runs, probably too little too late.
McKinnon with a base hit to the outfield could make this an 8-4 game. On the day, he's 1 for 3. An RBI single back in the fourth. First pitch, a high strike. It's 0-1. That hit just the third of the game for the Gatemen, and the first since McKinnon's back in the fourth inning. The 0-1, line to the glove of Jeremy Martinez at first. Another hard hit ball, but another out from David McKinnon. Gatemen get one back in the bottom of the eighth, but they leave 2 in scoring position. We head to the top of the ninth. It is 8-2. Gatemen trail the Firebirds on the Cape Cod Baseball League Network and WCTV. We're in the top of the ninth inning, 8-2 the score. Firebirds over the Gatemen. Eric Bramer joined by Jake Garcia and Megan O'Brien. 5, 6, and 7 due up for the Firebirds in the ninth against Jared Price. I beg your pardon. A defensive change is Sierra behind the plate, and Kisner moving to third base. That is no longer Price on the mound either. That's what I thought this announcement was going to be. That's Sean Anderson on the mound. So Price's day is done. Sean Anderson out of Florida coming in. He's yet to allow an earned run in 6 innings for the Gatemen this year. Only 2 hits allowed during that span and 6 strikeouts.
You got to wonder with Anderson coming into the game in the ninth inning if this is more of a tune-up for an impending start that's coming. He absolutely was brilliant in his first start of the season for the Gatemen. Gained some national recognition as well for that start. He's coming from Florida and coming off a season in which he didn't receive too many starts. That's because Florida didn't have that long of a leash with him. They had to make a move to a pitcher who was more productive. But Anderson possesses a ton of potential, and the Gatemen will be wise to use him in a starter's role. That's why I think the move is kind of interesting to have him come in the ninth. Like I said, though, could be just used as a tune-up outing.
Dahlbeck, Zamorelli, and Murphy due up in the ninth. Before we look around the league, an update on the All-Star game. It's tied up 1-1 between the American and National Leagues in the top of the fourth inning. Dallas Keuchel, former Gateman, gave up 1 unearned run in 2 innings pitched. Now for our obligatory scoreboard update. Brewster Whitecaps beat the Chatham Anglers at Stony Brook Field 6-0 as Anderson's first pitch plunks Dahlbeck on the inside shoulder. And Dahlbeck will trot to first, a leadoff base runner here in the ninth.
Third time that Dahlbeck's aboard here tonight, but no hits to his name, a pair of strikeouts, so make that 0 for 3 because he also reached on an error.
Other games that have gone final tonight. Kettleers beat the Braves 3-1 at Lowell Park. At Arnie Allen Diamond, the Hyannis Harborhawks came in and beat the Falmouth Commodores by a score of 5-2. And another game in the top of the ninth right now, YD Red Sox leading the Harwich Mariners 5-3 at White House Field.
YD looking for its 4th win in a row. They had one 2 days ago against the Gatemen in walk-off fashion.
The Gatemen, after being firmly entrenched in second place in the West Division for so long, are now looking behind them as the 0-1 misses outside. The Gatemen have 25 points on the year. The last place Katuitt Kettleers have 22 points on the year. The top 4 from each division advance to the playoffs, and the Gatemen continue this skid. They may find their postseason chances in jeopardy. Shallow left center field. Warren coming in, diving. I beg your pardon, didn't even require a dive. Covering some good ground in shallow left center field. And out number 1 on a nice play by Charlie Warren in center.
Charlie Warren showcased good range over these past few days, but unfortunately for him, 2 errors as well, or rather 1 error and 1 costly mistake that his team walked away with a loss. That was last time out against the YD Red Sox. Here, though, some good range. Didn't even have to leave his feet. That's always a good thing. And he records the first out of the 9th.
Sean Murphy at the plate. He is 3 for 4 on the day. Takes low ball 1, a single in the 2nd, a double and a run scored in the 7th, and a single and a run scored in the 8th. The runner at first, Dahlbeck, reached on a hit by pitch. The 1-0 to Murphy misses low. It's 2-0. This game has been disappointing in several respects for the Gatemen, but chief among them is that it was close for a while. Heading into the top of the 7th inning, this was a 2-1 game. In fact, in the bottom of the 6th, the Gatemen were 90 feet away from tying this game up, but 3 runs in the 7th, 3 runs in the 8th put this game well out of reach. Murphy gives it a ride deep left center field. Warren after it, and he puts it away for out number 2. Ball not carrying very well tonight. Is that just me?
I thought that was hit better than it actually was. May have been a bit off the end of the bat. But I guess when you see these big swings and contact made from an Orleans team that's so used to putting balls over the fences, I guess that's to be expected. As soon as they hit a ball, you expect it to really jump off their bat.
Keeping the ball in the ballpark after 4 home runs in the last game against the Firebirds has not been an issue tonight. Instead, it's been errors and miscues and an inability to throw strikes. First pitch to Jeremy Martinez, low in the dirt, ball 1. Sierra blocks it.
Orleans has been really good in all facets of the game this year. We ran through their ranks in multiple categories, and most of the offensive and pitching ones, they've been stellar. They've also been great away from Eldridge Park. 9-6 on the road this season. Those 9 wins, the most in the Cape.
Anderson goes to the rosin bag and wipes off his fingers with his cap. The 1-1 to Martinez, fouled back. So Anderson, who hit the first batter of the inning, has a chance to get out of the inning without allowing him to even advance to second. Anderson with the 1-2. Got him swinging. Dug out of the ground by Sierra, and that'll do it for the Firebirds in the top half of the 9th inning. They hope they will not have to bat again. A 6-run lead heading into the bottom of the 9th over the Wareham Gatemen. You're watching WCTV and the Cape Cod Baseball League Network. We head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Gatemen need 6 runs to tie, 7 runs to win. It'll be a tall order against what has proven to be a very effective Orleans Firebirds pitching staff. It'll be 5, 6, and 7 due up for the Gatemen in the 9th inning against a new pitcher for the Firebirds. It is Eder Arives.
Eder Arives.
Eder Arives.
And how do I know that?
Yeah, well, how do you know that? Because I think I went over the pronunciations last time these guys came to town, and that one did not come up.
Arizona State.
Okay.
For him, Arizona State for me. Arizona State is one of the broadcasters for Orleans as well. Eder Arives, the right-handed pitcher from El Paso, Texas, on the mound, a 2.08 ERA coming into this game. A reliever back at ASU and a reliever as well for the Orleans Firebirds. Has a fastball, slider, and changeup as well. Back at ASU this season, he was coming off a freshman campaign that was absolutely stellar. Only walked 3 batters in around 25 innings of work, I want to say. One of ASU's top relievers as a freshman. Had a bit of a sophomore slump, though. ERAs 3s, 4s, I want to say. Not as reliable, but still earning a spot here in the Cape.
Well, he's been good here for the Firebirds. 0-1, but a 2.08 ERA, making his 9th appearance. All out of the bullpen. 8 2/3 innings pitched. 8 hits allowed. 3 runs, 2 of them earned. 5 walks and 9 strikeouts.
Final line on Jason Harper, 1 inning of work, 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 walk. Also hit a batter as well.
Andrew Kisner stepping up 0 for 2. He was hit by pitches last time up. Arrives with the first pitch to Kisner, low ball 1. Eder Arrives.
Eder Arrives, correct.
The 1-0 to Kisner. Hit well down the left field line, but twisting foul. Gave it a ride, that one going into the parking lot, but just a little bit early. We'll see if he can straighten one out.
There's the vintage Kisner power that we grew accustomed to at the early portion of the season. Hasn't hit one out yet, but showed gap-to-gap power. Now as he's kind of started to struggle here, working his way out of a slump, hits like that have been hard to come by for him and his team.
There's one that had a little bit less altitude, but just as much velocity. Lined on a hop to the left fielder, Alex Call, and Kisner's aboard to lead off the 9th inning.
Value to be had even in blowout games. Andrew Kisner working on a few things at the plate, widening out his stance, and seeing some benefits there, and now we'll see a pinch hitter for Charlie Warren.
It's Connor Beck. Warren on the day was 0 for 3. 2 groundouts to the infield and a fielder's choice. We've seen Beck at the bottom of lineups and playing right field most of the time. Beck on the year, batting .231, 6 hits in 26 at-bats, all of them singles. Arrives gives his catcher the nod, and the first pitch is a strike. Kisner at first, no need to move from there. The 0-1 to Beck on the inside corner, quickly 0-2.
Arrives had to give a little hop there off the mound to retrieve the throw from his catcher. Fortunately for him that he caught it, because his second baseman, Bryson Brigman, wasn't pinching on the play, something you normally see middle infielders do, and also had his head turned to the outfield.
Rolled on the ground, a cue ball shot to second base Brigman, throw on to first in time, but that one had some funky spin on it.
Yeah, it was off the end of the bat of Connor Beck, and because of it, eliminated the possibility of a double play. Kisner on to second, but right now the Gatemen need base runners. This runner in scoring position doesn't mean a whole lot.
Logan Sowers at the plate, trying to hit the ball out of the infield for the first time tonight. Struck out swinging his first 2 times up, then tapped one back to the pitcher in his last at-bat in the 7th. With a hit to the outfield, he would likely score Kisner. First pitch from Arrives, missing low ball 1. Should the Gatemen lose tonight, they'll fall to 12, 16, and 1. The 1-0 to Sowers in the dirt. Nice stop by Murphy. And should the Firebirds hold on and win, they would move to 21 and 8. If they want to have the best record in Cape Cod Baseball League history, they can only lose 2 more games the rest of the year. Which is highly improbable, but from what we've seen of this team, entirely possible.
Mitchell Jordan, though, only needs 1 more inning of work to be in line for the best ERA in the history of the Cape League. A very tall order. I want to say the best is .2. Jordan's right now sitting at .00.
2-1 from Arrives to Sowers, missing inside. It's 3-1.
if the Firebirds are more concerned about the record books and not about winning ball games, they could have Mitchell Jordan throw 2 more innings and then just sit him out for the rest of the season.
They definitely could. Something tells me that they won't be doing that. The 3-1 to Sowers, missing inside, ball 4. So Sowers is aboard, and Jabs coming to the plate. Should Jabs reach, the tying run would be on deck. I'm trying to do this in my head. Let's just not bring it up until it comes close or becomes imminent, because I think there's a ways to go.
Yeah, we've seen Jabs have a lot of power so far, but even he cannot hit a 6-run home run.
First pitch missing inside, ball 1. And Arrives, really all he's been asked to do is to get 3 outs without imploding. And he struggled here, a single and a walk, and now behind in the count early to Jabs. First pitch on the outside corner to even up the count, 1-1. Arrives with the 1-1 to Jabs, taken for a ball, the back pick down to second, not in time to get Kisner. And you wonder what the point of that was, but I suppose the Firebirds trying to end this game as quickly as possible. Jabs ahead in the count, 2-1. The Arrives delivery, flip foul and out of play over our heads. Gatemen trying to at least put some runs across and make this game interesting towards the end. Arrives comes to a set, checks Kisner at second, and delivers the 2-2. Jabs again, in on the hands, got a piece, and sends it foul. Arrives with the 2-2 to Jabs. High fastball, got him swinging. Jabs goes down, and the Gatemen are down to their last out. It'll be pinch hitter Nick Sierri. He's no longer a pinch hitter, but he entered the game as a pinch hitter in the last inning. He drew a walk and came around to score the second run for the Gatemen.
He represents the final hope for the Gatemen, but awaiting on deck is Andrew Kalika. My personal rooting interests here call for Sierri to get on so we can see Kalika with another shot at extending his multi-hit streak.
Yeah, that would be interesting, to say the least. It's a stat that you can use for one more night until it no longer becomes true.
It's all about rooting for the storylines.
1-0 to Sierri, dumped to left field, diving attempt, and a catch. Nice catch by Alex Call to end the game. Left it a little bit ambiguous, but perhaps the umpires want to head home too. A nice catch by Alex Call, and that'll do it. The Orleans Firebirds top the Wareham Gatemen by a score of 8-2 and sweep the season series 4-0.
Incredibly difficult for a baseball team to win 4 games in a row against another team, but the Orleans Firebirds are just that good. They send the Gatemen now into even more of a downward spiral, now have lost 7 of their past 8 ball games. This entire struggling streak for the Gatemen started with a loss to Orleans back on July 5th, so I guess searching for positives here, maybe it took a game this poorly played by the Gatemen in terms of their effort defensively, their effort against the starter, Eric Lauer, at the plate, 9 strikeouts against him. Maybe it took an effort like this to really jumpstart this team and hope that better times are ahead.
The totals on the board are correct. The Orleans Firebirds in victory moved to 21-8 on the year. They scored 8 runs on 8 hits. They did not commit any errors. The Wareham Gatemen in defeat fall to 12-16-1. They scored 2 runs on 4 hits, and they committed 3 errors. The losing pitcher is Zach Houston. There was no save, and I believe the winning pitcher was Eric Lauer. He went the required 5 innings to pick up the win, and he left with the lead that eventually became a win. Not a whole lot left to say about this game. Another disappointing loss for the Gatemen. They're back at it tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern as they take on the Chatham Anglers in Chatham. So it'll be an audio-only broadcast. We will see you then. For Jake Garcia, Megan O'Brien, our broadcast coordinator Warren Randolph, everyone at WCTV, I'm Eric Bramer signing off from Spillane Field. The final score, Orleans Firebirds 8, Wareham Gatemen 2. We'll see you tomorrow.